Leader of the House എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ആക്ച്വലി നമ്മൾ സ്പീക്കർ ഓഫ് ദി ഹൗസിനെ പറ്റി പഠിച്ചായിരുന്നു. ഇതങ്ങനെ ഒരു കൺഫ്യൂസ്ഡ് ആവണ്ട, അതായിട്ട് വലിയ റിലേഷൻ ഒന്നുമില്ല. ലീഡർ ഓഫ് ദി ഹൗസ് മീൻസ് ഹി ഈസ് ദി ജസ്റ്റ് എ നോമിനൽ പോസ്റ്റ് ആണ്. സ്പീക്കർ ഓഫ് ദി ഹൗസ് ആക്ച്വലി കോൺസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻ പറയുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, പക്ഷെ ലീഡർ ഓഫ് ദി ഹൗസിനെ പറ്റി കോൺസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻ ഒന്നും പറയുന്നില്ല. ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നോട്ട് മെൻഷൻഡ് ഇൻ ദി കോൺസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻ. ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ജസ്റ്റ് എൻ സെറമോണിയൽ പോസ്റ്റ് ഇൻസൈഡ് ദി ഹൗസ്. The leader of the person who is the leader of the house will be mostly the Prime Minister of India. Okay. When we assign a person as the leader of the house in Lok Sabha, he will mainly be who? The Prime Minister of India. So Prime Minister of India will be the leader of the house. Consider this classroom as the Lok Sabha, and if I pick a person, what is the name? Lakshmi. If I pick Lakshmi and I say that she is the leader of the house, she has some more powers than you guys. That's a major thing with the leader of the house, the post of leader of the house. And so currently, or actually in Lok Sabha, the leader of the house will be Prime Minister of India. Prime Minister of India will be the leader of the house. If Prime Minister of India will be from Rajya Sabha, what will happen? If Prime Minister of India is not a member of Lok Sabha, rather he is from Rajya Sabha, then who will become the leader of House of Lok Sabha? Prime Minister Rajya Sabha ആണെങ്കിൽ leader of the house Lok Sabha leader of the house ആരായിരിക്കും? A minister. Very good. A minister who is nominated by the Prime Minister. Prime Minister nominate ചെയ്യുന്ന മറ്റൊരു മിനിസ്റ്റർ ആയിരിക്കും leader of the house in the Lok Sabha. Okay, that's it. അപ്പം അതാണ് മെയിൻ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഐഡിയ. Leader of rules of Lok Sabha, and this is mentioned in the rules of Lok Sabha. It is not mentioned in the constitution. Leader of the house means Prime Minister or another minister who is a member of Lok Sabha and is nominated by the Prime Minister. Okay. There is similar to Lok Sabha, there is a leader of house in the Rajya Sabha also. Okay. There also most probably the minister or most probably the Prime Minister is from Lok Sabha. So Prime Minister nominate another minister to become leader of house of the Rajya Sabha. So leader of house of the Rajya Sabha is also a minister who is nominated by the Prime Minister. If Prime Minister is from Rajya Sabha, he will normally become the leader of house of the Rajya Sabha. If Prime Minister is from Lok Sabha, he will normally become the leader of house of Lok Sabha. So in other house, when there is no Prime Minister as member, he will nominate another minister to become leader of that house. Are you able to understand? Okay, that's it. That's a provision related to leader of house. The main idea of getting a leader of house is he is planning the major conduct of business in the house. For example, the ruling party is the main party which comes out with many initiatives, many programs, many bills. Okay, so he allocates what for his direct influence of conduct of business. He might tell the speaker in order to do or in order to make arrangement for a particular passage of a particular bill or another meeting which has to be held by the parliament. അതായത് ഇദ്ദേഹമാണ് ഡയറക്റ്റ് ഇൻഫ്ലുവൻസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, എങ്ങനെ ഹൗസിലെ കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ മാനേജ് ചെയ്യണം എന്ന് സ്പീക്കറെ ഉൾപ്പെടെ ഇൻഫ്ലുവൻസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു നോൺ കോൺസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻ അതോറിറ്റിയാണ് എന്ത് ലീഡർ ഓഫ് ദി ഹൗസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. കേട്ടോ, നോർമലി ഹീസ് ദി പ്രൈം മിനിസ്റ്റർ. കേട്ടോ, he is not mentioned. This is the most important point here that you have to remember, that he is not mentioned in the constitution. Rather, he is mentioned in the rules of house of Lok Sabha. Okay. Leader of opposition. So leader of opposition, you might have heard about leader of opposition. You might have heard about leader of opposition. So what is your what have you heard about leader of opposition? Who is opposition party? Means we might have heard that in news channel or in the in parliamentary discussions and debate, we might have heard that this leader of house or a leader of opposition has claimed some criticism against the government, or any corruption allegations have been raised up by the leader of opposition. We might have heard it in the newspaper, in the media. Okay. So we know one thing, that the main function of leader of opposition is to criticize the government. In a democracy, we need different voices. We need to have good, in order to have good responsibility, there should be more criticisms. So main function of leader of opposition is to scrutinize the policies, scrutinize the action, criticize the actions of the government, and thereby increasing the responsibility, accountability, and the transparency in the government operations. Are you able to follow me? So here also, the like the leader of the house, the leader of opposition's position is also not mentioned in the constitution. Constitution has not said anything about leader of opposition. Don't forget that. Okay. Constitution has not mentioned anything related to leader of opposition of the house. Mainly, the person who is selected as the leader of opposition is the person who is a member of the party or who is the leader of the opposition party which has at least 1/10 of the seats in the house. Means I take a hypothetical situation. If for 550 members in Lok Sabha, consider 300 members, 300 seats have been filled by the ruling party, that is BJP. Okay, so we know that Congress is the current opposition party. So in order to become an opposition party, the particular party has to get at least 1/10 of the seats. 1/10 into 550, that is 55 seats. At least 55 seats has to be secured by the party which is not a ruling party, and that party can become what? Opposition party. Okay, so like this, we have to say that currently the leader of that particular party will be called as the leader of opposition. Okay, but I have mentioned to you that it is not mentioned in the constitution, but it is mentioned in a law. That is why it has statutory recognition. Means, what is a statutory body? What do you mean by statutory body? A body which is mentioned in the any of the law of the parliament. For example, National Human Rights Commission. It is a statutory body. Why it is a statutory body? Because it is mentioned in the Act Protection of Human Rights Act of the Parliament. So NHRC is a statutory body. Similarly, this leader of opposition is not mentioned in the constitution, rather it is mentioned in an act of the Parliament. Okay. Since this is mentioned in an act of the Parliament, that is salaries and allowances of the, you don't need to remember that all, but just for your sake of information, I'm giving you that he is mentioned in the Salaries and Allowances of Ministers Act 1977. In that act, actually, the post of leader of opposition is mentioned. Okay, so it has what recognition? Constitutional, statutory. Statutory. Very good. That is, the post of leader of opposition is not mentioned in the constitution, rather it is mentioned in an act of the Parliament. That is why he has what recognition? Statutory recognition. When does a body become statutory body? When it is mentioned in an act of a Parliament. When does a person get statutory recognition? When it is mentioned in an act of the Parliament, not in the Constitution of India. Okay, so leader of opposition has what? Statutory sanction or statutory recognition. Are you able to follow me? Okay. Okay. This point you have to remember, because UPSC may confuse you by telling statements like, according to the constitution, leader of opposition should be a member of largest leader party having at least 1/10 of the seat. UPSC will give you that according to the constitution, leader of opposition is the leader of a party which have at least 1/10 seats in the Lok Sabha. You know that it is correct because not less than 1/10 seat is correct, but it is not mentioned in the this part according to the constitution is wrong. Rather, it is not mentioned in the constitution, rather it is in a parliamentary law or a statute. Okay. you need to have a clear understanding of things which are mentioned in the constitution, not mentioned in the constitution. Many students, even though they mug up everything in polity, they might not clear prelims because they don't know the basic difference between the things which are mentioned in the constitution and the things which are not mentioned in the. That is why I'm emphasizing you the points which are not mentioned in the constitution, because you might get confused in the end that whether it was mentioned or whether it was not mentioned. So no confusion in my class. You have to get clear with the things which are mentioned in the constitution. Are you able to follow me? Okay, now we are moving to the office of whip. I have already discussed you about whip. What was whip? Anyone remember that? Office of whip. I know you guys are studying polity, environment, economy, anything else. What are you studying and other subjects? Ancient history, medieval history, modern history. So you might get confused with everything. You might not remember it, but try to recollect. So it was a thing I have explained to you very well. I have given you real life examples, and I have made a hypothetical situation inside this class. Anyone remember what was office of it? He might not be the leader, rather he is a particular office. What is his main function? What was his main function? Very good. The main function of an office is not necessarily during a conflict, not necessarily during a conflict. The major function of an office of whip is give the directions of the party to other members. See, a party have a particular agenda. Consider we all are Communist Party of India. This is the party house. Okay. And I am the office of whip. I might not be the leader or the most powerful person in the house, but I might be the office of whip. This office of whip has a particular power. That is, whatever he say has to be adhered or followed upon by the other members. For a particular bill, Lok Sabha കിടക്കുകയാണ്. വിപ്പ് പറയുന്നു, please vote for that. Then you all have to follow the direction of the whip, or else what will happen? Or else what will happen if they don't follow? I have already explained to you that also. Removed by? I have given you a term for that. Anyone remember that? I know it's pretty difficult topics, but if you have revised it, it might be. I have sent you the notes and all, but okay. By defection, it is equal to defection. Okay. If a person does not follow the directions of office of whip, it will amount to defection. So every political party, whether ruling party or opposition party, will have its own office of whip. What is the main function of office of whip? He regulates and monitors the behavior of other members in the parliament. He always observes the behavior of other members of that political party, whether they are following the party directions or whether they are not following the party directions. He will always be observing that. Okay. And again, you have to remember one important fact that you should not remember is that the office of whip is not mentioned in the constitution. The office of whip is not mentioned in any law of the parliament. So I'm asking you whether it's a statutory body. No, it's not a statutory body. I'm asking you whether it's a constitutional body. No, it's not a constitutional body. Okay. He is not even mentioned the rules of Rajya Sabha or rules of Lok Sabha. He is not mentioned in any statute books or in any rule book. Rather, he is followed according to the parliamentary conventions. That is, we are following the parliamentary system of other governments or other nations. There they have a whip. For example, in Britain, they have a whip, office of whip. In USA, there also they have an office of whip. Similarly, in order to have a good coordination, in order to have a stable government, in order to have a good monitoring within the party, and in order to have an intra-party democracy, we have appointed an office of whip for our constitution also. Please remember that the office of whip is not a constitutional or a statutory body. You have to remember this fact very clearly. You just have to know that what is the meaning of office of whip, and also you have to remember that he is not mentioned in the constitution or in any other statute. Rather, he is just a what? He is appointed according to the parliamentary conventions or how the parliamentary rule. For example, we crash course നമ്മൾ മറ്റ് ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂട്ടുകാർ നടത്തുന്ന ക്രാഷ് കോഴ്സിന്റെ പാറ്റേൺ ഒക്കെ ചിലപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഫോളോ ചെയ്തിരിക്കും. മനസ്സിലായില്ലേ? അതായത് ക്ലാസ് ഷെഡ്യൂൾ ചെയ്യുന്നത് അങ്ങനത്തെ കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ ചിലപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഈ കോമൺ ആയിട്ടുള്ള അതേപോലെ തന്നെ ആലോചിച്ചാൽ മതി. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ, നമ്മൾ പാർലമെന്ററി കൺവെൻഷൻ ഫോളോ ചെയ്യാന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ അത്രേ ഉള്ളൂ. പാർലമെന്റ് നടത്തുമ്പം ഇന്ത്യൻ പാർലമെന്റ് ഒരു പക്ഷേ മറ്റ് ലോകത്തിലുള്ള മറ്റ് പാർലമെന്റ് എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഫംഗ്ഷൻ ചെയ്യുന്നതൊക്കെ ചിലപ്പോൾ ഒബ്സർവ് ചെയ്യുന്നിരിക്കും. എന്നിട്ട് ആ മെഷേഴ്സ് ഒക്കെ ആക്ച്വലി ഇങ്ങോട്ട് കൊടുക്കുന്നു. അങ്ങനെ വന്നൊരു പോസ്റ്റ് ആണ് ആക്ച്വലി ഓഫീസ് ഓഫ് വിപ്പ്. ഓഫീസ് ഓഫ് വിപ്പ്. ഓക്കെ, ഡോണ്ട് ഫോർഗെറ്റ് ദാറ്റ്. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു പാർട്ടിക്ക് എല്ലാത്തിനും ഒരു വിപ്പ് എങ്ങനെ വരുന്നത്? ഓരോ പാർട്ടിയുടെ അജണ്ടയും കാര്യങ്ങളും ഒക്കെ സിമിലർ. ഇപ്പൊ കമ്മ്യൂണിസ്റ്റ് പാർട്ടിയുടെ ഈ വിപ്പ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഭയങ്കര ഇറ്റ്സ് വെരി ഇൻഫോർമൽ. റിമെമ്പർ ദാറ്റ്. ഇത് വെരി ഇൻഫോർമൽ ഓഫീസാണ്. ഇത് അങ്ങനെ സിറ്റിംഗ് വരുമ്പോഴേ ഉള്ളൂ, അല്ലാതെ അങ്ങനെ ഒന്നും ഇല്ല. ഒരു പാർട്ടിയുടെ എന്ത് കാര്യങ്ങളിലും വിപ്പിന് എപ്പോൾ വേണമെങ്കിലും എന്ത് ചെയ്യാം, ഒരു റോളുണ്ട്. മനസ്സിലാവുന്നുണ്ട്? ഇപ്പം പാർലമെന്റ് സിറ്റിംഗ് വരുമ്പോഴേ ഉള്ളതെന്നോ അങ്ങനെയൊന്നും ഇല്ല. ഓഫീസ് ഓഫ് വിപ്പ് വിൽ ബി ദെയർ എനി ടൈം. ബട്ട് മെയിൻലി ഈസ് എൻഫോഴ്സ്മെന്റ് കംസ് ഡ്യൂറിംഗ് ദി സെഷൻസ് ഓഫ് ദി പാർലമെന്റ്. ബിക്കോസ് അവിടെ വെച്ചിട്ടാണ് കറക്റ്റായിട്ടുള്ള ആക്ഷൻസ് ഒക്കെ കറക്റ്റായിട്ടാണോ ചെയ്യുന്നതെന്നൊക്കെ നോക്കുന്നത്, മോണിറ്ററിംഗ് ഒക്കെ മെയിൻറ്റെയിൻ നടക്കുന്നത് അവിടൊക്കെ. സോ വി ക്യാൻ മൂവ് ഓൺ. വി ക്യാൻ മൂവ് ടു സെഷൻസ് ഓഫ് പാർലമെന്റ്. We have heard in news that the parliament is sitting for budget session. Parliament is sitting for the monsoon session. Okay, have you heard in the news? Yes, parliament is sitting for the. I have already told you the difference between a session and a sitting. Okay, I hope you guys remember that. And remember that a session, when a session is being arranged, the term here using is summoning. When a session is being dismissed, the term used is prorogation. When a sitting is being dismissed, what is the term used? Adjournment. Okay, you have to have a clear difference between these things. So who does the duty of summoning of the parliament and proroguing of the parliament? President of India does the duty of summoning and proroguing of the parliament. That is a session. If a session has to be started, it has to be called by the President of India. Rather, if a sitting has to be started, who has to call it? Then, or if a sitting has to be adjourned, who has the power to do that? This is basic information. You can tell. Come on, don't be shy. Please tell your answer. Okay, it's okay. Even if it is wrong, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Once you get wrong, once you do a thing wrong, you wait to remember it forever. Very good. Speaker of the House. It is a duty of the Speaker of the House in order to start a sitting or adjourn a sitting. But it is a duty of President to summon a session. Okay. So one more thing you have to remember that the minimum gap between two sessions must not be more than 6 months. You might know that already. You don't need to have a gap of more than 6 months in order to between two sessions. രണ്ട് സെഷനിന്റെ ഇടയിൽ 6 മാസത്തേക്കുള്ള ഗ്യാപ്പ് വരാൻ പാടില്ല. ഓക്കെ. Okay, sessions. See, by convention, it is not mentioned because again, Parliament normally sits for 3 sessions. Which session? Budget session, which is from end of January to, normally it is then from end of January to end of April. Monsoon session, July to August. Winter session, November to November, December, that time. Okay, normally Parliament has 3 sessions. Okay, 3 sessions, and these 3 sessions has to be conducted within a year. But this is not mentioned in the Constitution. It is not mentioned in the Constitution to whether have 3 sessions, 2 sessions. Constitution has just said that the maximum gap between 2 sessions must not be more than 6 months. But we are doing according to the convention, according to how other parliaments are run in the other parts of the world. We are actually following that. We have 3 sessions, which is budget session, monsoon session, and a winter session. February. See, actually, this is not correctly followed. Okay, this schedule is not correctly followed because it is not mentioned in the Constitution. Normally, it is being done like this. Okay. So maybe this year it might have occurred in February, May time period, or in the next year it will not be having in the end of April. Rather, it might be postponed to another month. That might happen. It does not. It's actually general trend is shown here. It is not actually correctly or strictly following this time period because it is not a mandatory thing to have 3 sessions in a year. But normally the parliament sits for 3 sessions in a year. It is not mentioned in the constitution to have a monsoon budget or a winter session. You have to remember that. If UPSC tells that according to the Constitution of India, Parliament of India sits for 3 sessions, will be wrong. Are you able to follow me? Are you listening? Okay. Okay, we can move on adjournment. What was the meaning of the word adjournment? Postponing a session. Am I right? Am I right? Postponing a session. Session ano? Sitting, very good. Remember the terms. It is postponing the sitting. What is postponing of a session? It is called as prorogation. Adjournment means postponing a sitting. Remember, our crash course was the entire crash course was a session. The classes inside the schedule of the classes inside a crash course was sittings. If I am saying that the class is adjourned for the next after 2 days, if I am saying that class is adjourned for next 2 days, then Speaker of the House will be doing that. If Sir is coming and telling that the crash course has ended, next crash course will start from maybe from after 2 months. He will be saying you that. In that case, what will happen? It will be called as prorogation. The session has been prorogued. Don't forget it. I am giving you simple examples, real life examples, in order to remember, in order to make you remember these things, so that you have better clarity of the sessions of the parliament. Okay. So adjournment means postponing or suspending the sitting of the house for a specified time period, which may be hours, it may be week, it may be days. It is the discretion of the Speaker of the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, Chairman of Rajya Sabha. He does the adjournment of the House. Okay. So after adjournment, there is something called adjournment sine die. So I have already told you that adjournment may be for what? Hours, maybe for days or week. Yeah. This will be mentioned by the speaker. When will it come? For example, consider I am saying that the class is adjourned for 2 days. So you have to come after 2 days for the next class. Are you able to follow me? So, but if I am saying that class is adjournment sine die, if I am saying that class is adjournment sine die, there is no particular time period for which I have mentioned. That is, the class will happen anytime. I am not saying the time period when the next class is going to happen. Are you able to follow me? I am just saying that the class will end and it will be starting on the day which I will say to you. I am not saying the date of re-sitting of the class. Are you able to follow me? So adjournment sine die is a special type of adjournment when there is no date of re-meeting will be mentioned. Are you able to follow me? Okay. So the power of adjournment, adjournment and adjournment sine die lies with the Speaker of Lok Sabha and also the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. That is the presiding officer of the House have the power to adjourn or adjourn sine die. But in order to prorogue, who has the power? President of India has the power in order to prorogue the House. Again, remember that a prorogation terminates the sitting as well as the session of the House. Are you able to follow me? See, I called these classes as the sitting and I call these crashes as the session. If President, that is Adarsh Sir, is coming and telling you that the crashes has been prorogued, that means the crashes has been ended. Normally the classes will also end. Therefore, we can say that the sitting as well as the session will end for a prorogation. But for an adjournment, only the sitting will end. Are you able to understand the difference between these two concepts? Any confusions you guys have? I hope you are clear with the idea so that we can move on. Okay. Okay, what do you mean the adjournment? Again, the difference is tabulated here. You can just read and understand this thing I have already explained to you. Only ends a sitting and not the entire session of the house. Adjournment. Rather, prorogation not only ends a sitting but also the session of the house. It is done by the presiding officer. It is done by the President of India. Okay. Again, you have to remember that presiding officer means Speaker of Lok Sabha for Lok Sabha. Presiding officer for Rajya Sabha will be Chairman of Rajya Sabha. Okay. Again, remember that bill, the state of the bill. Okay. Consider we are again, this classroom is the Lok Sabha and we are having a sitting right now. A bill has been introduced this person. She is a minister. She is the finance minister and she has introduced a bill. So, but we have not taken it into discussion. The bill has just been introduced. We have now taken the bill to discussion. The House has now taken the bill to discussion. But suddenly the speaker, after the introduction of that bill is called as a pending bill. That is a bill which has been introduced in the House, which has not been taken into discussion or voting. Such a bill is called as the pending bill. Are you able to follow me? When do you have pending homework? When do you have pending homework? When do you have pending homework? Pending at homework is yes, when you guys don't do it. Similarly, a bill is pending in the House when we don't take it into discussion or when we don't take it for voting. A bill has to be passed by voting, then only it becomes an act. Okay. So a bill which is pending in the House will be a bill which is which has not been taken into discussion or voting. So you have to understand that when a House is adjourned, or I am saying the House is adjourned, the Speaker is saying the House is adjourned, the pending bill, there will be no effect on the pending bill. The bill will be there like that itself. When the next sitting comes, we might take it again for discussion. Okay. Are you able to follow me? But remember that when we similarly for a prorogation of the House, there also will not be any bearing on the bill. The pending bill will be taken when the next session comes. If the budget session ends, next monsoon, when the next monsoon session will come, we will take the bill again for the discussion. A pending bill will not be affected for a prorogation or a adjournment, but it will be affected in one case. And you guess that case? Anyone? If you are becoming a master of polity, then you might be able to say that all the pending bill will become end or will end in one condition. What will be that? During the dissolution of the House. When the House is dissolved, that is the entire Lok Sabha is dissolved, it will have a bearing on the bill pending there. Okay. But for a prorogation or for a adjournment, the pending bills will not be affected. Pasako means next session will be Pasako. അന്നേരം അവർക്ക് എടുക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല, ടൈം ഇല്ലാത്തതുകൊണ്ട്. മനസ്സിലാവുന്നില്ലേ? ഇപ്പം നമ്മുടെ രേഷ്മ പറഞ്ഞു എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു ബില്ല് പോലൊരു കാര്യം കൊണ്ടുവന്നു ഇവിടെ. പക്ഷേ എനിക്കിപ്പോ സമയമില്ല, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് ആർക്കും ടൈമില്ല, നമുക്ക് പെട്ടെന്ന് ക്ലാസ് നിർത്തിയിട്ട് പോകണം. അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത് അഡ്ജേൺ ചെയ്തു, ക്ലാസ് അഡ്ജേൺ ചെയ്തു, തിരിച്ചു വരുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് അത് കാര്യം ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും, ഇല്ലേ? അത്രേ ഉള്ളൂ. അങ്ങനെ മനസ്സിലിരുന്നാൽ മതി. അതേപോലെ സെഷൻ എൻഡ് ആവാറാകുമ്പോഴാണ് രേഷ്മ കാര്യം, ഇപ്പൊ ക്രാഷ് കോഴ്സ് എൻഡ് ആകുമ്പോഴാണ് ഡൗട്ട് കൊണ്ട് വന്നത് വിചാരിക്കുക. അതുവരെ ഡൗട്ട് ഇല്ലായിരുന്നു. അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ എന്താ പറയുക, സമയമില്ലാത്തതുകൊണ്ട് അടുത്ത ക്രാഷ് കോഴ്സ് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ഈ ഡൗട്ട് ക്ലിയർ ചെയ്യാന്ന് പറയും. അത്രേ ഉള്ളൂ. അങ്ങനെ ചിന്തിച്ചാൽ മതി. സെഷനും സിറ്റിങ്ങും എൻഡ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ബില്ലുകളെ അഫക്ട് ചെയ്യത്തില്ല. ടേം എക്സ്പയർ ആയാലും അത് ടേം എക്സ്പയർ ആകുമ്പോൾ ഡിസോൾവ് ചെയ്യില്ല നടക്കില്ല. ടേം 5 വർഷം കഴിക്കും ഡിസോൾവ് ചെയ്യും. എപ്പോൾ ഡിസോൾവ് ചെയ്താലും പെൻഡിങ് ആയിട്ട് ബില്ലുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഡിസോൾവ് അതെങ്ങനെയാണ് ഏതൊക്കെ ടൈപ്പ് ഓഫ് ബിൽ എന്തോ ഡിസോൾവ് ആയി പോവുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ബില്ല് അത് ഏതൊക്കെ ടൈപ്പ് ഓഫ് ബില്ലാണെന്ന് ഞാൻ പറയാൻ ഉണ്ട്. ബില്ലിനെ അഫക്ട് ചെയ്യത്തില്ല, ഇത്ര ഓർത്താൽ മതി. ബില്ലിനെ ഒരു രീതിയിൽ അഫക്ട് ചെയ്തില്ല. ഇപ്പം നമ്മൾ ഹൗസ് അഡ്ജൈൻ ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിലും പ്രൊവോഗ് ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിലും ഡിസോൾവ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ മാത്രമേ ബില്ലുകൾ അഫക്ട് ചെയ്തുള്ളൂ. ജസ്റ്റ് റിമെമ്പർ ദാറ്റ്. Again, we have to all notices. Example, other things other than bill. Okay, see some kind of notices are less important things than bill. ബില്ലുകളാണ് ആക്ട് ആവുന്നത്, പക്ഷെ നോട്ടീസസ് ആക്ട് നടത്തില്ല. ജസ്റ്റ് അന്നേരം കാണിക്കാനുള്ള എന്തെങ്കിലും കാര്യമായിരിക്കും. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ ഈ ഇതിനകത്ത് എന്തെങ്കിലും നോട്ടീസ് നിങ്ങൾ ഇഷ്യൂ ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ മനസ്സിലാവുന്നില്ലേ? അപ്പം നോട്ടീസ് അത്രേ ഉള്ളൂ. അപ്പോൾ നോട്ടീസസ് ആക്ച്വലി ഹാസ് ടു ബി റീഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ്ഡ് during the next prorogue. If the house is prorogued, the notices has to be reintroduced in the next session also again. ഒന്നുകൂടെ റീഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യണം. അത് ആ ഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്ത പോലെ തന്നെ അടുത്ത സെഷൻ എടുക്കത്തില്ല. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ ഇപ്പം ഹൗസിൽ ഒരു നോട്ടീസ് ഇഷ്യൂ ചെയ്തു, ഈ നോട്ടീസ് അതേപടി അടുത്ത സെഷൻ വരുമ്പോൾ എടുക്കത്തില്ല. നിങ്ങൾ വീണ്ടും നോട്ടീസ്, പുതിയൊരു നോട്ടീസ് അതിന്റെ സബ്ജക്റ്റിൽ നിങ്ങൾ ഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യണം. ഓക്കെ, ബിക്കോസ് നോട്ടീസ് ആർ നോട്ട് അത്ര ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് അല്ല ബില്ലിന്റെ അത്ര. അതുകൊണ്ട് notices has to be reintroduced, but bills need not to have to be reintroduced. Rather, it can be taken as it was introduced in the earlier form or format. Are you able to understand? Okay. Again, we are coming to dissolution. What happens in dissolution? During dissolution, entire life of the house of the Lok Sabha will be ended. Okay, entire house of the life of the Lok Sabha will end. Will Rajya Sabha can Rajya Sabha be dissolved? No, why? Very good. Rajya Sabha is the permanent house, so Rajya Sabha cannot be dissolved. Rather, it is Lok Sabha which can be dissolved. Lok Sabha is a directly elected body, therefore Lok Sabha can be dissolved. So Lok Sabha can be dissolved before the tenure. That is, Lok Sabha normally have 5-year tenure. It can be dissolved before the 5-year tenure if the government loses majority in the house. Also, you have to remember that when the Lok Sabha is dissolved, remember this statement for your life. When Lok Sabha is dissolved, all business pending before its committees expire, including bill, motions, resolution, notices, petitions, so on. Anything that is pending in the house, anything that is pending in the Lok Sabha, for example, a bill, a motion, a resolution, a notice, a petition, anything and everything will lapse. Okay, lapse means it is not into effect. If that thing has to be passed off, or if that thing has to be noticed, you have to reintroduce it in the next house. Okay, consider 15th Lok Sabha. If 15th Lok Sabha is dissolved, if this a particular bill is pending, particular notice is pending, okay, for the 15th Lok Sabha. And if Lok Sabha is dissolved, what will happen? You have to conduct new election, and the 16th Lok Sabha should come. And these bills notices has to be reintroduced here in order to be taken up by that house. When the 15th Lok Sabha is dissolved, all these bills, all these notices will automatically get dissolved or lapse. Able to follow me? Okay, that's it. You just have to remember that whenever the Lok Sabha is dissolved, all the bills, all the motions, all the resolutions, notices, whatever thing which is pending in the house will be lapsed. Okay. Also remember that condition for lapsing of the bill. Not every bill will lapse. For example, consider a particular bill. തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും സാധിക്കും. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഇപ്പൊ ലോക്സഭ ഡിസോൾവ് ആയി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ, പക്ഷെ ഒരു കാര്യം മനസ്സിലാക്കുക, ഈ കാര്യങ്ങളെല്ലാം തീർന്നു പോകുന്നല്ല എന്റെ അർത്ഥം. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞില്ലേ, അടുത്ത ലോക്സഭ വരുമ്പോൾ വീണ്ടും കൊണ്ടുവരണം, അത്രേ ഉള്ളൂ. ഇപ്പൊ ഒരു പെർട്ടിക്കുലർ ബില്ല് ഇദ്ദേഹം ഒരു പർട്ടിക്കുലർ ബില്ല് ഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്തെങ്കിൽ അത് നമ്മൾ ഒരിക്കലും ലോക്സഭ ലാപ്സ് ആയി പോയി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അത് ഒരിക്കലും എടുക്കത്തില്ല എന്നല്ല അർത്ഥം. അടുത്ത ലോക്സഭ വരുമ്പോൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം? അത് വീണ്ടും റീഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യണം. അതാണ് ലാപ്സിങ്ങിന്റെ അർത്ഥം. ലാപ്സിംഗ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഒരിക്കലും എടുക്കത്തില്ല എന്നല്ല അർത്ഥം. നമ്മൾ അതേ ഫോർമാറ്റിൽ എടുക്കില്ല എന്നർത്ഥം. ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത് മനസ്സിലാവുന്നുണ്ടോ? ആ ഡിഫറൻസ് മനസ്സിലാക്കണം. നമ്മൾ അടുത്ത സെഷൻ എടുക്കും, ബട്ട് ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ബി അഗെയിൻ യു ഹാവ് ടു ഒരു സിറ്റുവേഷൻ consider a situation that a bill is introduced in the Lok Sabha. The Lok Sabha has passed it. Rajya Sabha has also passed it, and it is waiting for the President's assent. Do you think that such a bill will get passed and the Lok Sabha is dissolved after that? Again, I would say that a bill is introduced in the Lok Sabha, it is passed to Rajya Sabha, and it is waiting for the President's assent. And after that process, that is during the waiting of the President's assent, if Lok Sabha is dissolved, what will happen to that bill? What according to you will happen? Yes, it is passed. It will not lapse. Again, if I'll come to you. Okay, just wait, relax. Okay. Again, if a bill is passed by the Lok Sabha, it is passed by the Rajya Sabha, and it is passed by the President assent. Okay. Or it might not have got the President assent, but the President has called for a joint sitting. In that case also, the bill will not be lapsed. Okay. The bill, a particular bill, will get lapsed during the resolution of Lok Sabha only under two conditions. Again, I will say that a bill will get lapsed during the resolution of Lok Sabha only under two circumstances or two conditions. First one is a bill pending in Lok Sabha lapses, whether it has originated in the Lok Sabha or transmitted by the Rajya Sabha. See, Lok Sabha is the house which is getting dissolved. So, a bill which is pending in the Lok Sabha, whether it has been passed by Rajya Sabha or whether it has been originated in the Lok Sabha, a bill can be introduced either in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Okay. Bill can be introduced either in Lok Sabha if it is an ordinary bill. The ordinary bill, it can be introduced in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. If that particular bill is introduced in Lok Sabha, consider a situation. A particular bill is introduced in Lok Sabha. Okay, a bill was there and suddenly the Lok Sabha got dissolved. So the pending bill will get lapsed. Similarly, the bill was passed in originally introduced in Rajya Sabha. It has been transmitted to Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha has passed it, but it was pending in Lok Sabha, and suddenly the Lok Sabha got dissolved. The bill will lapse. Okay. Always remember that whatever thing is pending before the Lok Sabha will get lapse. And also one more condition is there for lapsing of the bill during the dissolution of the House. That is, a bill passed by Lok Sabha, but it is pending in the Rajya Sabha. Okay, again I will say that a bill, consider a bill which was introduced in Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha has passed it, and it was pending in Rajya Sabha. But during the stage of pending in the Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha got dissolved. In such a situation also, the bill will lapse. Clear now? Bill pass out. Bill pending out there. You will try ചിന്തിക്കണ്ട. ഇത്രയും മാത്രം പഠിച്ചാൽ മതി. ബില്ല് ലാപ്സ് ആവുന്ന രണ്ട് കണ്ടീഷനേ ഉള്ളൂ. ഇത് രണ്ട്. ജസ്റ്റ് മാർക്ക് ദിസ് അപ്പ്. വേറെ എന്ത് നിങ്ങളുടെ ഓപ്ഷൻസ് വന്നാലും നിങ്ങൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യണ്ട, കറക്റ്റ് ആക്കണ്ട. ഈ രണ്ട് കണ്ടീഷനും ഒരു വരുന്ന ബില്ല് മാത്രം ലാപ്സ് ആവത്തുള്ളൂ. ജസ്റ്റ് യു ഹാവ് ടു സ്റ്റഡി ദിസ്. ജസ്റ്റ് യു ഹാവ് ടു മാർക്ക് അപ്പ്. Okay. So conditions related to lapsing of bills in the Rajya Sabha. Okay. Again, quorum of the House of Lok Sabha. What is again? I think I already told you about quorum. Quorum means the minimum strength of the house. Minimum strength of the house. What is the minimum strength of the house? 1/10 of the strength of the house, including the presiding officer. 1/10 of the strength. For example, for Lok Sabha, there is 550 members. You need to have at least 1/10 into 550, 55 members. Okay, at least 55 members you need to have. That is, at least 1/10 of the members of the house should be present for that particular session. Then only the session can be conducted, or the sitting can be conducted, or else the sitting will get adjourned by the speaker. Speaker will say that the sitting is adjourned due to lack of quorum. Okay. While calculating this 1/10 of the members, the presiding officer will also be included. That is, inside the 55 members, the speaker will also be added. Okay, including, so the quorum or the 1/10 members is including the speaker, not excluding the speaker. This including the speaker also. Remember that. Okay. Okay. Now we have to move towards something called joint sitting of the parliament. Listen to me. Consider Lok Sabha. Okay. Consider Lok Sabha. A bill is introduced in the Lok Sabha. It has been passed to Rajya Sabha. But Rajya Sabha decided not to pass that bill. Okay. So what is happening here? There is a situation of deadlock. Okay. Consider another situation. Consider a bill which is introduced in Lok Sabha, which has been passed to Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha has set some amendments to the bill, proposed or suggested some amendments to the bill, and the bill has been reintroduced in the Lok Sabha. And the Lok Sabha is not accepting to the amendments, or no, Lok Sabha is not willing to accept any amendments suggested by the Rajya Sabha. What is happening there? That there also we have situation of deadlock. Again, another situation. If Lok Sabha is passing a bill, Rajya Sabha is taking it up, and Rajya Sabha is not taking any action for 6 months. Rajya Sabha is not taking any particular action for a period of 6 months. What do you think will happen? There also we have a situation of deadlock. So the constitution knows that, the constitution makers knew that there will be deadlock in the house, or the houses will have opposing or contradictory viewpoints. Okay. So in order to resolve the solution amicably, the constitution has mentioned a solution which is called as joint sitting or joint session. So in a joint session, both the house of the parliament sit jointly. Yeah. During the situation of deadlock, both the members of the Lok Sabha or both the members of the Rajya Sabha has to sit jointly for a session, and that particular session is called as the joint session of the parliament. Joint session of the parliament. Again, remember that Article 108 is saying this particular thing, that you can have a joint session of the parliament during the situation of deadlock. Okay, Article 108 of the Constitution. Again, you have to remember that this important thing, that a joint session is presided over by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, not Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. The joint session, that is a session of both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha member, is presided over by Lok Sabha Speaker. If Lok Sabha Speaker is absent, Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha will preside. In the absence of both these persons, if both the Speaker and Deputy Speaker is absent, okay, Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha will preside. Not Chairman. You have to remember that the Chairman of Rajya Sabha does not preside over the joint sitting of the House, because he is not a member of either House of the Parliament. He does not preside over the joint sitting of the Parliament. It is only the Speaker of the Lok Sabha who is presiding over the joint sitting of the Parliament. If Speaker is absent, who will preside? Deputy Speaker will preside. If the deputy speaker is also absent, the deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha will come. Okay, and again you have to remember that president who is the one calling this joint session. This joint session is being called by the President of India, not by the speaker. The power to call a joint session or a summon a joint session is the privilege of President of India. Okay, so President of India can do what? Summoning the session of the Parliament, proroguing the session of the Parliament, and he can also summon the joint session of the Parliament. Okay, remember that. Okay, again we have to consider the language in the Parliament. According to the Constitution, Hindi and English have to be the languages that has to be used in the Parliament. Official Languages Act also allow English to be continued. Actually, during the making of the Constitution has introduced these things. That is, both Hindi and English can be used in Parliament. The Constitution has actually mentioned it in the original Constitution. But Constitution has said one thing, that the usage of English can be reviewed after 10 years. That is, in 1950 Constitution, when Constitution was enforced in 1950, Constitution has said that after 10 years, the use of English can be reviewed. That is, the Parliament can decide whether to continue the usage of English or discontinue the usage of English, and maybe you can use Hindi alone in the Parliament. The original Constitution has mentioned it. But വേണമെങ്കിൽ മതി, അതായത് 10 വർഷം കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് റിവ്യൂ ചെയ്യാം, ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് യൂസ് കണ്ടിന്യൂ ചെയ്യണോ വേണ്ടതെന്നുള്ളത്. അങ്ങനെ പാർലമെന്റ് അത് റിവ്യൂ ചെയ്തു. പാർലമെന്റ് ത്രൂ ആൻ ആക്ട്, ഒഫീഷ്യൽ ലാംഗ്വേജസ് ആക്ട് ഓഫ് 1963 അലൗഡ് ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് ടു ബി കണ്ടിന്യൂഡ്. ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് ഹിന്ദി അറിയാത്തവർക്ക് അവരുടെ ഒറിജിനൽ ലാംഗ്വേജ് പറയാം, അത് അവിടെ ട്രാൻസ്ലേറ്റ് ചെയ്യും. ഓക്കെ, ഒഫീഷ്യൽ എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ അവിടെ വേറെ ഒരു ലാംഗ്വേജ് സ്പീക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റത്തില്ല എന്നല്ല അർത്ഥം. സ്പീക്കർ ക്യാൻ അലോ എ മെമ്പർ ഓഫ് ദി പാർലമെന്റ് ക്യാൻ ടു സ്പീക്ക് ഇൻ ദി ഹിസ് മദർ ടങ്. ഇപ്പൊ മലയാളത്തിൽ സംസാരിക്കാൻ പറ്റത്തുള്ളൂ എന്ന് വിചാരിക്കാം, സ്പീക്കർ അനുവദിക്കാം. സ്പീക്കർ ക്യാൻ അലോ യു ടു സ്പീക്ക് ഇൻ മലയാളം ആൻഡ് ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ബി ട്രാൻസ്ലേറ്റഡ് ഇൻ ദി എൻ്റയർ ഹൗസ് ഇൻ എയ്തർ ഹിന്ദി ഓർ ഇൻ ഇംഗ്ലീഷ്. ഓക്കെ, എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ആപ്പാണോ? എന്തോ അങ്ങനൊന്നുമില്ല, അങ്ങനെ ഡിവൈസ് ആയിട്ട് യൂസ് ചെയ്യണമെന്നില്ല. ദാറ്റ് വിൽ ബി അത് ഹൗസിനകത്ത് കാര്യങ്ങളൊന്നും നമ്മൾ ഒരു കാര്യം ഈ പ്രിവിലേജ് എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു പകുതി കാര്യങ്ങളൊന്നും പുറത്തുവിടത്തില്ല. പിന്നെ ഇത് കറക്റ്റായിട്ട് എങ്ങനെയാണ് നടക്കുന്നത് അതിനകത്ത് ചിലപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ ആയിരിക്കും, അങ്ങനെ യൂസ് ചെയ്യില്ല. ട്രാൻസ്ലേറ്റേഴ്സ് കാണും, ഒഫീഷ്യലായിട്ട് തന്നെ ആയിരിക്കും ചെയ്യുന്നത്, അങ്ങനെ ആപ്പ് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതായിരിക്കും ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, കുഴപ്പമില്ല. നമ്മള് കുറച്ചുകൂടെ കൂടുതലായിട്ട് അറിയണമെങ്കിൽ യു നീഡ് ടു സി ഏതെങ്കിലും പാർലമെന്റ് സെഷൻസ് യൂട്യൂബിലൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടാവും, അതൊക്കെ ഒന്ന് കണ്ടു നോക്കുക. അപ്പോൾ അവരെങ്ങനെയാണത് മീറ്റിംഗ് നടക്കുന്നത്, അതിൻ്റെ ഇപ്പം നമുക്ക് കുറച്ചുകൂടെ ഡെപ്തിൽ ഇപ്പം മനസ്സിലാക്കണമെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ മീറ്റിംഗ്സ് ഒക്കെ കണ്ടു നോക്കുക, അപ്പം മനസ്സിലാവും എങ്ങനെയാണ് എപ്പോഴാണെന്നോ. നമുക്ക് അറിയാൻ പറ്റുമെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ സ്പീക്കർക്ക് വേണമെങ്കിൽ അറിയാതാക്കാൻ പറ്റും. സീക്രട്ട് സെറ്റിംഗ്സ് ഹെഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. സ്പീക്കർ ക്യാൻ ഹോൾഡ് സീക്രട്ട് സെറ്റിംഗ്സ്, അതായത് ആരും അറിയാതെ ഉള്ള സെഷൻസ് വേണമെങ്കിൽ നടത്താം. പക്ഷെ ഇപ്പം പാർലമെന്റ് തീരുമാനിക്കുകയാണ് ഈ പർട്ടിക്കുലർ സെഷൻ പുറത്ത് വിടേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ല, അങ്ങനെ വേണമെങ്കിൽ ചെയ്യാം. അതൊക്കെ പാർലമെന്റ് പ്രിവിലേജ് ആണ്. പക്ഷെ സെഷൻസ് അങ്ങനെ പുറത്തൊക്കെ വിടാറുണ്ട്. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ നമ്മൾ ടി വിയിലൊക്കെ അവിശ്വാസ പ്രമേയം കണ്ടിട്ടില്ലേ? റീസെന്റ് കമ്മ്യൂണിസ്റ്റ് പാർട്ടി ഓഫ് ഇന്ത്യയുടെ നോ കോൺഫിഡൻസ് മോഷൻ വന്നപ്പോൾ നമ്മളത് ടി വിയിലൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു ഇല്ലേ? അപ്പോൾ ആക്ച്വലി വി ക്യാൻ പോസിബിലിറ്റി അങ്ങനെ ലൈവ് സ്ട്രീം ചെയ്യാനും ഒക്കെ പറ്റും. Okay, rights of ministers and attorney general. Okay, again you have to remember that. See, I have already told you that a minister, whether he is a member of Rajya Sabha or a Lok Sabha, he can preside the, he can attend the meetings of both the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. If a member is a minister, if a member of the parliament is a minister, consider if a minister is from Rajya Sabha, he can also participate in the proceeding of the Lok Sabha. Consider a minister who is from Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha minister, if only is a minister, okay, not a normal MP. If a normal person, a normal MP is from Rajya Sabha, he can only attend the meetings in Rajya Sabha. But if he's a minister, MP plus minister, then he can attend or participate in the both the houses of the parliament. But remember one thing, that he cannot vote in a house which is not member. That he cannot vote in the other house. He just can participate in that house. And this special privilege is given to one more person also. That is Attorney General of India. Okay, Attorney General of India. For the Attorney General of India also, he can participate in any meetings of the parliament, any meetings of the any house of the parliament. There he can also not vote. There he is also not given the privilege of voting. Okay. Okay, again we can move to the lame duck session. See, lame ducks means just you have to know that very important. Just you have to know that the last session of the Lok Sabha, current Lok Sabha, it is called lame ducks. That is, they are going out. See, consider the last session of Lok Sabha. New Lok Sabha has been elected, and they have to come here. But this is the last session of this house. 15th Lok Sabha, this is 16th Lok Sabha election. Election has been completed. So till the new members come, the 15th Lok Sabha members will be there. So the members who are going out, or the Lok Sabha which is going out, they are called as the lame ducks. It's not very important. It's just for your additional information. Do you understand? That is the last session. Crash course. Okay, അടുത്ത crash course വരുന്നിടം വരെ നിങ്ങളോട് ഇരിക്കും. അടുത്ത session മെമ്പേഴ്സിനെ കയറിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കും. അപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ ഇങ്ങനെ ഇറങ്ങണം. ഇറങ്ങി പോകുമ്പോൾ നിങ്ങളെ ലെയിം ഡക്സ് എന്ന് വിളിക്കും. അത്രേ ഉള്ളൂ. കേട്ടോ? Question hour. Okay, again we can move to some procedures of the house. Procedure means question hour. Okay, see, inside the parliament, there should be discussions. In order for a vibrant democracy, you need to have discussion inside the parliament. So we consider a situation in our class. I'm saying that we need to have proper discussion. We need to have proper debates of the bills, of the policies of the government. You consider you are the leader of opposition. This is the prime minister, and you need to criticize her. You need to ask questions. What is happening with this scheme? Where is the money getting allocated in that scheme? Or if a matter of urgent public importance, for example, during COVID-19, you had to raise an important matter and ask to Prime Minister that question, or ask to a minister, or ask to the ruling party member. Criticize questioning. Or you have to question, or you have to discuss. Discussion or questions you discuss. Okay, so in order to have that time, see, if I'm saying that we need to discuss, full time doubts doubts minutes extra disciplined doubts full time doubts full time questions inside the parliament. You have this, if you don't have a particular time period allocated for questioning, the normal procedures of the house or the passing of the bills and all these things will not be conducted properly. There will not be any discipline in the house if you have not allocated a specific time period for the questioning. Okay, so in order for that, you have question hour. Okay, question hour is first hour of every parliamentary sitting. Whenever the parliament comes, consider a parliament is sitting in 10 a.m. today. 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. will be allotted for question hour. So in this hour, you can raise questions. Okay. In this hour, you can raise questions. Okay, there are some types of questions. Starred questions. Starred question might be very important questions. And these questions require an oral answer. That is, for starred questions, the person, the minister has to answer it in the oral format. So while answering in an oral format, supplementary questions can also be followed. I'll answer questions. Okay. So first type of questioning is starred questions. Next is unstarred question. Unstarred questions requires a written answer. It does not need an oral answer. It just has to be written. And for unstarred questions, the supplementary questions cannot follow. For a starred question, supplementary questions can follow. For unstarred questions, supplementary questions cannot be followed. And also for unstarred question, it requires a written answer. It's actually procedures within the parliament. Just you have to understand this, that it is inside the procedure parliament procedures. It might not be asked by the UPSC and all. Just just have to remember. Starred questions on the type of question starred on the unstarred on the starred means those which need the oral answer of the minister. Supplementary questions cannot be followed. And again, every can be followed. For instance, the question is near opposite. This oral written answer and written format edit. Okay, short notice questions. Consider a situation for a matter of urgent public importance. That is, short notice questions means this question concerns a matter which is very urgent and it's very important. And if that type of a question, if a short notice question has to be asked, you need to give a notice of at least 10 days. Notice of before at least 10 days. And these questions have to be answered orally. Okay, that is the meaning of the word short notice question. Okay, again we have to come to 0 hour. See, I have already told you about question hour. And question hour starts the first hour of the sitting. First hour. Consider the first hour has finished. And you have some time before this sitting starts. Normal agenda starts. Consider the first sitting of the House is at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. What happened? Question hour has happened. And you have some time. The session will start at 12 noon. We have 1 more hour left. So, during this 1 more hour, more questions can be asked. But you have to have something called 0 hour. For that purpose, you have 0 hour. 0 hour. 0 hour means here also you can raise important matters to the government. You can raise important matters before the government. But you have to understand that during this time, this is after the question hour and before the time before the sitting of the or the normal agenda of the House is taken up. Okay. Session in parliament in real life. Actually procedures academic purpose parliament just depth think just procedure 0 hour actually according to the system question hour and 12 actually agenda started. Okay, again you have to remember one thing, very important thing about 0 hour is that it is not mentioned in any rules book. Actually the question hour was mentioned in the rules of book of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, but the 0 hour is not mentioned anywhere. It is not mentioned in the parliamentary rules book. Okay, but you have to remember it is an Indian innovation, Indian parliamentary innovation. 0 hour is introduced by Indian parliament. Other things we have been adopted from other parliament. Parliament but when you come to 0 hour, it has been an Indian parliamentary innovation. Okay, okay, we can move to the motions. Okay, see, motions. Understand one thing, that in order to have, for the House to take up any matter or any bill or any particular important thing, Before taking that thing up, you need to have a particular motion pass. If inside this classroom, this is Lok Sabha, and you need to discuss a very important matter. But you cannot just stand up and outrightly discuss that topic. You need to pass a motion to the, I'm the speaker of the house. You need to pass a motion to me first. That will be continued. You need to pass a motion to me first. That you need to discuss this thing, or you need to discuss this particular topic. Then I will allow you. Okay. So that particular thing is called as a motion. So understand what is the purpose of a motion. In order for the house to take up any matter, any discussion, or any general public importance, you need to get a motion passed. ഒരു മോഷൻ പാസ്സാക്കണം, അനുവാദം മേടിക്കണം, അത്രേ ഉള്ളൂ കേട്ടോ. അനുവാദം വാങ്ങുക, അനുവാദം മേടിച്ചിട്ട് മാത്രം കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യാം. So that particular term is called as a motion. You need to remember that. Okay, that particular term is called as a motion, and there are many kinds of motion. നമ്മൾ ഇനി ഒരുപാട് type of motions പഠിക്കും. Okay. Okay, first type of motion is a privilege motion. Privilege motion. Okay, privilege motion, you know about parliamentary privileges. A minister of the parliament have, or a member of the parliament have privileges. What are the privileges? He has the freedom of speech. He cannot be arrested within the premise of the house unless the 40-day notice is given. Similarly, we will study what are the parliamentary privileges. Just remember that the parliament members have what? Privileges. So, if a particular member has conducted a breach of privilege, okay, ഒരു മെമ്പറുടെ ഒരു പ്രിവിലേജ് ആണ് കാര്യങ്ങൾ അറിയുക എന്നുള്ളത്. ഹൗസിനകത്തെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മിനിസ്റ്ററിനോട് ചോദിച്ച ഉത്തരം കിട്ടുക എന്നുള്ളത് ഒരു മെമ്പറിന്റെ പ്രിവിലേജ് ആണ്. ഇപ്പൊ ഒരു മെമ്പർ ചോദിച്ചു, മിനിസ്റ്റർ ഉത്തരം പറയാൻ സൗകര്യമില്ല എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു വിചാരിക്കും. അതെന്താണ്? ആ മെമ്പറിന്റെ പ്രിവിലേജിനെ ബ്രീച്ച് ചെയ്യുകയാണ് ചെയ്തത്. അങ്ങനെ സിറ്റുവേഷൻ വരുമ്പോൾ മെമ്പർക്ക് എന്ത് ചെയ്യാം? ഒരു ബ്രീച്ച് ഓഫ് പ്രിവിലേജ് മോഷൻ പാസ്സാക്കാം. എന്നിട്ട് അതിന്റെ പേരിൽ എന്ത് ചെയ്യാം? ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാം. ആ മോഷൻ പാസ്സാക്കുക. മനസ്സിലാവുന്നുണ്ടോ? അപ്പം അങ്ങനൊരു മോഷനാണ് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് വിളിക്കുന്നത്? പ്രിവിലേജ് മോഷൻ എന്ന് വിളിക്കും. ഇതിനകത്ത് ആലോചിക്കുക, ഈ മോഷൻ ഒരു മിനിസ്റ്ററിനെ എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നു? സെൻസർ ചെയ്യുകയാണ്. ഒരു മിനിസ്റ്ററിനെ this particular motion is censuring a minister. Censuring means it is actually scrutinizing the minister. It is actually criticizing the actions of the minister. Okay. This particular motion can be moved in both in Rajya Sabha and in Lok Sabha. So understand what is privilege motion. A motion, this is a particular motion which is passed when a member feels that a minister has breached his privilege. Okay, it can be passed in both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Censure motion, again censure motion. Okay, censuring, what is the meaning of the word censuring? You might have it in film board. We censure films, film certificates. We give censure certificates to the films, or we give censure certificates to the food. Why it is given? ഇതിനാ സെൻസർ ചെയ്യുന്നത്? ഒരു ഫിലിം എന്തിനാ സെൻസർ ചെയ്യുന്നത്? എന്തോ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു ഫുഡ് എന്തിനാ സെൻസർ ചെയ്യുന്നത്? It is checking whether it is having any problems. Actually, it is criticizing. If I gave you some work to do, consider to Sridevi that I gave you some homework, and the next day I am coming. When you are coming, I am censuring you. That is, I am checking whether you have done it properly, or else I will criticize you, or I will punish you. That is the basic meaning of the word censuring. Okay. Similarly, it is happening in Lok Sabha. See, the other members can do what? Censure the ministry. It might be an individual minister. It might be the entire council of ministers, or it might be a group of ministers. See, if 3 ministers, if they have committed some corruption, they have some corruption allegations, the other members can do what? Censure. That is the purpose of the word censure. Okay. So, in order to censure a particular minister or a group of ministers or council of ministers, you need to pass a censure motion. Okay. Again, you have to remember that it can move only in the Lok Sabha. It cannot be moved in Rajya Sabha. Before introducing this particular motion, this censure motion, it should state the reason for its adoption. That is, you have to give clear reasons for what is the purpose of introducing this particular censure motion. No, it cannot be introduced in Rajya Sabha. It is an element of why. Do you know? Can you say why it is not in Rajya Sabha? Because this is actually what? Censuring the government. That is, it is actually, so the government is responsible only to, or the ministry, council of ministers is responsible only to Lok Sabha. Collective responsibility ke marna. Collective responsibility or the PM plus council of ministers is responsible to Lok Sabha only. Above this motion is a century or responsibility take government like a pass again, government affected, government the chance of the no confidence of a pass again. So, government portakan easy like a poem cancel the guide on the censure motion. Not to guide him the pass again because the government is only responsible to the Lok Sabha. Okay, so it is taken up only by the Lok Sabha, not by the Rajya Sabha. Again, we have calling attention motion. Calling attention motion. This is a name itself suggests that if you are a minister, I am a member, I am passing this motion in order to get your attention on an urgent public importance or an urgent matter of public importance. I am passing a motion in order to get your attention so that I can ask you some questions on this particular matter. And this particular matter is under your ministry, your agriculture ministry, and you have introduced DDT without the consideration of the environment ministry. So I am asking you this particular motion. I am calling for your attention. Are you able to understand? Or you have introduced BT brinjal into the field of the farmers without getting the approval of genetic engineering appraisal committee or without getting the approval of environment ministry. You have introduced BT brinjal in your field. You are the agriculture minister. So it is a matter of urgent public importance. So I am calling for an attention motion. I am passing this motion. I am passing this motion so that I can get your attention, so that I can discuss that thing with you. And you have to answer it before the entire parliament. Why? What is the logic behind your actions? What is the purpose of your actions? You have to answer and you have to discuss it before the entire house. Okay? Minister Gella. See, urgent issue on urgent public importance on. Okay? Upon the ministry Tangle attention any member. Yan Tangle choosing Giana. Lang other criticize. But Tangle Yana choosing. About Tangle attention and calling attention motion. Just the name. The motion, particular motion, it is also an Indian innovation. And over Indian innovation. 0 hour. Similar to 0 hour, calling attention motion is also an Indian innovation. It can be moved in Rajya Sabha as well as Lok Sabha. It can be moved both in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. And again, it is mentioned in the rules of procedure. But 0 hour was 0 hour mentioned in the rules of procedure. 0 hour rules of procedure mentioned in the 0 hour. 0 hour Indian innovation. 0 hour engu mentioned in parliamentary convention polu illa. That's Indian innovation. But this Indian innovation it is mentioned in the rules of procedure. You have to depth suggest just UPSC don't normally frame questions from these minute things. Or broader things in question. I will tell you what are the important things. Okay, you have to focus more on that. Okay. Okay, again, this one is important. You have to focus here. Adjournment motion. Okay, adjournment motion is also a type of motion which is introduced in the Lok Sabha in order to get the attention of the House to a definite matter of urgent public importance. See, there is consider a corruption scam against the government. Corruption scam against the government of India. So this is a matter of what? Urgent public importance. You need to discuss this matter in the House because it is an allegation against the government of India. Okay. So you need to pass an adjournment motion. That is, if you are passing an adjournment motion, you are going to criticize the government for this particular matter. Okay. ഒരു particular issue നടന്നു, ഒരു particular issue ഇപ്പോൾ ongoing ആണ്. ഇപ്പം ഇങ്ങനെ കൺസിഡർ ചെയ്യുക, ഞാൻ ഗവൺമെന്റ്, നമ്മളുടെ ഒരു ഗവൺമെന്റ് ആണെന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുക, നിങ്ങൾ ബാക്കി എം പിമാരൊക്കെയാണെന്ന് വിചാരിക്കും. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഗവൺമെന്റ് കൺസേൺ ചെയ്യുന്ന എന്തോ ഒരു കാര്യം അർജന്റായിട്ട് നടക്കുന്നു. ആൻഡ് യു ഗൈസ് are going to pass an adjournment motion in order to question us or in order to criticize us for that particular matter. Okay, if this particular motion is passed in the House, that is an element of censure to the government. That is, the government, it is an important thing because government എന്താണ്, ഗവൺമെന്റിനെ ഇപ്പം adjournment motion, ഇപ്പം നമ്മൾ തെറ്റുകാരാണ് എന്ന് ഈ മോഷൻ പറയുന്നു, അഡ്ജോർൺമെന്റ് മോഷൻ പറയുന്നു. എന്നിട്ട് ആ മോഷൻ പാസ് ആക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഗവൺമെന്റിന് അവിടെ സപ്പോർട്ട് കുറയുന്നു എന്നല്ല അർത്ഥം. മനസ്സിലാവുന്നുണ്ടോ? അപ്പൊ ഗവൺമെന്റ് താഴെ വീഴാനൊക്കെ ചാൻസ് ഉണ്ട്. ഈ മോഷൻ പാസ്സായി കുറെ നോ കോൺഫിഡൻസ് മോഷൻ അതിനെ ഫോളോ ചെയ്യാനൊക്കെ ചാൻസ് ഉണ്ട്. സോ ജസ്റ്റ് യു ഹാവ് ടു റിമെമ്പർ ദാറ്റ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ആൻ എലമെന്റ് ഓഫ് സെൻഷർ. It is criticizing the government. It is questioning the responsibility of the government. So it can be moved only in Lok Sabha. It cannot be moved in Rajya Sabha. This adjournment motion cannot be moved in Rajya Sabha. It is an element of censure and it is questioning the responsibility of the government in the parliament. So this particular motion cannot be moved in the Rajya Sabha. It can be moved only in the, and also in order to introduce this particular motion, you need to have the support of at least 50 members. At least the support of 50 members you need to have in order to introduce this particular motion. If you are introducing this particular motion, you need to get that the support of another 50 members in order to introduce this. Okay, this is a very important motion in the House. So adjournment motion, don't forget it. Again, the most crucial motion in the House, that is not avishwasa prameyam allengil no confidence motion. You might know it. What is the purpose of the motion? I know I don't have to explain to you. The Article 75 says the Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. Okay, so what is the meaning of the word confidence? When does the government have confidence? When does the government have confidence? When does a particular I am just asking you, when does a particular government have confidence? നമ്മൾ പറയല്ലേ, നമ്മളെ കോൺഫിഡൻസ് നമ്മളെ സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നവരുടെ കയ്യിലാണ് ചിലപ്പോൾ. ഇപ്പം എനിക്ക് ഒരുപാട് സപ്പോർട്ടേഴ്സ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എൻ്റെ ക്ലാസ്സുകൾ ഒത്തിരി പേര് അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഇഷ്ടമാണെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, ഐ വിൽ ബി മോർ കോൺഫിഡൻറ്റ് അല്ലേ? ദാറ്റ് ഈസ്, ഇഫ് യു ഗെറ്റ് മോർ സപ്പോർട്ട് യു വിൽ ബി മോർ കോൺഫിഡൻറ്റ്. എ ഗവൺമെന്റ് വിൽ ബി കോൺഫിഡൻറ്റ് as long as it have majority support in the parliament. ഒരു ഗവൺമെന്റ് ആയി ഇരിക്കുന്നത് തന്നെ അതിന് majority support ഉണ്ടെങ്കിലേ ഉള്ളൂ. So a government will have confidence only when it is having majority support in the parliament. So what will be the purpose of this no confidence motion? It is asking whether you have confidence. Whether you have confidence. If this particular motion is passed, what will happen? It will prove that the government does not have confidence. A government which does not have confidence means a government which does not have majority support in the Parliament. Do you think such a government can rule? No. Such a government has to resign. So, if a no confidence motion is passed, what will happen? The government has to resign or come down. So, it is a very important motion. So, it is actually questioning the responsibility or the confidence of the government. So, do you think this motion can be passed in Rajya Sabha? It can only be passed in Lok Sabha. But if this motion is passed, the entire ministry will come down. Even if this motion is passed, this motion cannot be passed against a single minister. This motion can be passed to the entire. I have already said the principle of collective responsibility. We consider we are ministers, we swim together, we sing together. Okay. So when this no confidence motion is being passed, it cannot be passed against a single minister. It has to be passed against the entire minister, entire ministry. The issue might be concerned with only one minister. The allegation of corruption or the corruption might be done only by one minister. But this motion, if this motion is passed for that issue, it has to be passed against the entire ministry. And this ministry has to resign if this particular motion is passed. Okay, you get your clarity. And again, you have to remember that it also needs the support of 50 members to be admitted. For a particular or a no confidence motion to be admitted, you need to have the support of at least 50 members. Okay, motion of thanks. See, just motion of thanks means it's a general term. Actually, the President of India addressed the first session of the Parliament or first session of the Parliament. That is, see, if a Lok Sabha is dissolved, new Lok Sabha comes. New Lok Sabha comes. This session of the new Lok Sabha is presided or addressed by the President. President, there is an address, presidential address there. Consider this if a new crash course is beginning. Okay, and this giving you thanks for coming here and just giving an introductory statement what is going to happen here this year. Okay, this particular thing has to be before this hour has to come and discuss. Sir has to pass a motion of thanks. In order to discuss, I told you that for anything to be discussed in the house, you need to pass a motion. So, motion of thanks, that particular motion is called as the motion of thanks. So, motion of thanks will be passed during the first session of election and the first session of every year. എല്ലാ വർഷവും ആദ്യത്തെ സെഷനും പുതിയ എലക്റ്റഡ് ആയിട്ട് വന്ന ലോക്സഭയുടെ ആദ്യത്തെ സെഷനും എല്ലാം ഈ പ്രസിഡന്റ് ഓഫ് ഇന്ത്യ വിൽ കം ആൻഡ് give this motion of thanks for a special presidential address will be there. Okay. See, this motion has to be passed by the House, or else it will be testing the confidence of the House. That is, if this particular motion is not passed, it is saying that from നിങ്ങൾ ക്രാഷ് കോഴ്സ് തുടങ്ങി പ്രസാദ് സാർ നിങ്ങളുടെ അടുത്ത് വന്നു പ്രസാദ് സാറിന്റെ മോഷൻ ഓഫ് താങ്ക്സ് പാസ്സാക്കുക നിങ്ങളിൽ ഒരാളെ അത് വോട്ട് ചെയ്തോളൂ അത് പാസ്സാക്കാനായിട്ട് ബാക്കിയുള്ളവർക്കും താല്പര്യമേ ഇല്ല അപ്പൊ നിങ്ങൾ ഈ ക്രാഷ് കോഴ്സിനെ താല്പര്യം ഇല്ല എന്നാണ് എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നത് സൂചിപ്പിക്കുന്നത് അല്ലേ അതേപോലെ തന്നെ പ്രസിഡന്റ് ആദ്യത്തെ സെഷൻ നടത്തുന്നു മോഷൻ ഓഫ് താങ്ക്സ് ഹി ഈസ് അഡ്രസ്സിംഗ് ദി മോഷൻ ഓഫ് താങ്ക്സ് ആൻഡ് ദി particular motion of thanks is not being passed by the House, and it shows that the House is not interested in the government, and the government might lead to the defeat of the government. It might lead to the defeat of the government. Okay, are you able to follow me? So, motion of thanks is the motion which is or the first session of the general election or the first session of every fiscal year is addressed by the President of India. Okay. Now we have to move towards no day yet named motion. This is not very important. Just you have to remember that this is a particular motion which is admitted by the speaker, but he has not told when we are going to take the discussion of this matter. Consider this classroom. Again, this classroom was the Lok Sabha, and you have introduced a motion, and I have accepted it. I'm speaker. I have accepted it, but I'm telling you that I'm not giving the date when we are going to discuss this particular issue, or we are not giving you the date, or I am not giving you the date of the discussion of this motion. Are you able to understand? So, no day yet named. The day has not been yet named for the discussion of this motion. And this particular motion can be introduced in both Rajya Sabha and in Lok Sabha. Anywhere it can be introduced. Okay, closure motion. See, a particular debate is happening, and that debate has to be stopped. See, again, classroom. We are debating on a particular matter, and the debate is continuing for a long period of time. We need to move to the next agenda, or we need to move on to the next thing within the house. So what you need to do? You need to pass a closure motion, stop the debate or stop the discussion of that particular matter. That is the main purpose of this closure motion. And there are many types of closure motion. There is simple closure, closure by compartments, kangaroo closure. You need not to have in-depth understanding of these things. Just need to know the basics. Did you understand what you mean by closure motion? Closure motion എന്താ മനസ്സിലായോ? Okay, മനസ്സിലാവുന്നുണ്ടോ? Okay, so first type of motion is simple closure. See, the simple closure is fast when entire discussion is done. We have completed the entire discussion. We have discussed the topic enough. Everything is completed, and every specific section of this particular matter is watered. We have watered it, and now we are passing the simple closure. That is, entire subject is discussed. Now we can put it to vote. നമുക്ക് ഇപ്പോൾ വോട്ട് ചെയ്യാം. നമ്മളെല്ലാം കഴിഞ്ഞു, ഡിസ്കസ് കഴിഞ്ഞു, നമുക്ക് വോട്ട് ചെയ്യാം. അതിനെയാണ് എന്ത് വിളിക്കുന്നത്? സിമ്പിൾ ക്ലോഷർ എന്ന് വിളിക്കുന്നത്. വോട്ട് ചെയ്ത് ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യാം. ഇനി ക്ലോഷർ ബൈ കമ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റ്. Compartment means, see, consider a topic or discussion of the topic is very lengthy. We compartment it into group of things. We compartment it into, consider a discussion of this much length. We compartment it into this much groups, and we put this group in a single vote. This group has many topics inside it. This group has many subtopics inside it, but we don't take the voting of each and every subject separately. Rather, we vote these subjects entirely in this compartment, and we have voting for this compartment entirely. We have voting for this compartment entirely. Okay, specific subjects are not taken up for voting due to lack of time. So that is called as closure by compartments. Entire thing is grouped into specific parts, and that part is voted upon collectively. Okay, next one is kangaroo closure. Kangaroo closure means we are jumping. Consider all these subjects have been discussed. Okay, this one is important. This one is important. This one is important. We are only voting important subjects. Other subjects we have discussed, they might not be very important. We are not doing voting for them. We are voting only for important subjects. Due to lack of time, we don't need to have voting for this and all. We need to have voting only for important subjects, and that we are jumping from one to another. That is why it is called as kangaroo motion. In something called guillotine motion. Guillotine motion means, for example, a bill. Bill has many subjects, many provisions inside it. Okay, many provisions inside it. We have discussed only some provisions. We have discussed this provision. We have discussed this provision. We have discussed this provision, but we have not discussed this. Okay. Guillotine motion means we are voting for the entire bill, and we are voting for those parts which have not discussed yet. We don't have enough time for the discussion of these things also. So we are putting everything into voting. And we discuss ചെയ്യാൻ സമയമില്ലാത്തതുകൊണ്ട് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നു, അൺഡിസ്കസ്ഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളോട് എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നു, വോട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നു. സമയമില്ലാത്തൊരവസ്ഥ അത് നല്ല കാര്യമാണോ? Do you think it's a good thing? Currently, one of the major issues faced by the Lok Sabha is guillotine closure. The government is saying that we don't have time, so we are passing a guillotine closure. We need not discuss. ഒരു ബില്ലൊക്കെ വലിയ കാര്യങ്ങളുള്ള ബില്ലുകളായിരിക്കും. ഈ ബില്ലുകളൊക്കെ പിന്നെ പുറത്തു വന്നിട്ട് ആളുകൾ പ്രശ്നം ഉണ്ടാക്കി കോടതിയിലേക്ക് പോകും. പാർലമെന്റിൽ തന്നെ പ്രോപ്പർ ഡിസ്കഷൻ കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ അത് അങ്ങനെ പ്രശ്നം വരുത്തില്ല. അപ്പം എന്താ അതിന്റെ ഒരു മെയിൻ ഒരു കാരണം എന്താണെന്ന് അറിയാം? ഒരുപാട് കാരണങ്ങളുണ്ട്. അതിലൊരു കാരണം എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഇതാണ് ഗില്ലറ്റിൻ ക്ലോഷർ. എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഈ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാത്ത കാര്യങ്ങളോടെ വോട്ട് ചെയ്യാന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു മോഷൻ അങ്ങ് പാസ്സാകും, ഗില്ലറ്റിൻ ക്ലോഷർ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. അപ്പൊ എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നു, ഡിസ്കഷൻ പ്രോപ്പറായിട്ട് എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല, നടക്കില്ല. എല്ലാ ക്ലോഷറിന്റെ ആ ബില്ലിന്റെ എല്ലാ ക്ലോസസിന്റെ ഡിസ്കഷൻ ചിലപ്പോൾ നടന്നില്ലെന്ന് വരും. So that is why guillotine closure is not, it should be taken only in exceptional situations. Exceptional situations വരുമ്പോൾ മാത്രം യൂസ് ചെയ്യേണ്ട ഒരു കാര്യമാണ്. But it is being misused currently. Okay, these are all closure motions. Don't forget it. Okay, resolutions. Okay, we have termed the motion. We have done what is motion. See, in motion, what is the purpose of motion? In order to have a discussion, we need to pass a motion at the beginning. Okay, for any important matter, very, very important matter. For example, impeachment of president. The president needs to be impeached, or removal of speaker. These are all important motions. Before taking up that particular thing, you need to have pass a motion for that also. Such a motion, which is for an important, very important matter, it is called as a resolution. Okay, every resolution is a motion. Every resolution is a motion, but a resolution is only passed for a very important thing. Motion, resolution. Okay, so a resolution can be called as a substantive motion. The meaning of the word substantive is very important. ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത് മനസ്സിലാവുന്നില്ലേ? പറയണോ, ഒന്നുകൂടെ പറയണോ, മലയാളത്തിൽ പറയണോ? അതായത് ഇപ്പം ഒരു പർട്ടിക്കുലർ മോഷൻ നമ്മൾ പാസ്സാക്കുന്നു ഹൗസിൽ. മോഷൻ പാസ്സാക്കുമ്പം നമ്മൾ എല്ലാ കാര്യങ്ങൾക്കും വേണ്ടി മോഷൻ പാസ്സാക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ റെസൊല്യൂഷൻസ് നമ്മൾ പാസ്സാക്കുന്ന വെച്ചാൽ മോഷൻ തന്നെയാണ്. പക്ഷെ എന്തെങ്കിലും അത്യാവശ്യ കാര്യം, വെരി ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യം ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി വി ആർ പാസിംഗ് റെസൊല്യൂഷൻസ്. We are passing resolution in order to have a discussion of an urgent public important matter. Or for example, removal of speaker, removal of president, impeachment of president ഒക്കെ വരുമ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ അത് റെസൊല്യൂഷൻസ് ആയിട്ടാണ് പാസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, മോഷൻ ആയിട്ട് പറയാറില്ല. ഇതിനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ സബ്സ്റ്റാൻറ്റീവ് മോഷൻ എന്ന് വിളിക്കും. സബ്സ്റ്റാൻറ്റീവ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ വെരി ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ് എന്നാണ് അർത്ഥം, വെരി ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻറ്റ് മോഷൻ. Okay, again we have to remember there are mainly three types of resolution: private member resolution, government resolution, and statutory resolution. A private member resolution is passed by a private member of the house. Who is a private member? Who is called a private member of the house? Can anyone help me here? Can you tell who is a private member of the house? A private member is any other member of the parliament who is not a minister. Who is not a minister? A person within the house or a member within the house who is not a minister, he is called as the private member. Just focus here. Consider there is 550 members in Lok Sabha. This is Lok Sabha, this is your Lok Sabha, and you have what? Elected Council of Ministers. You have elected Council of Ministers here. All other people are whom? They are MPs also, but they are private members they are not government or they are not public members. They are private members of the house. This might include also the ruling party. The ruling party വരും. നിങ്ങളെ കൺഫ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യും ചിലപ്പം. എല്ലാ മെമ്പർ റൂളിംഗ് പാർട്ടിയിൽ ഇല്ലാത്ത എല്ലാ മെമ്പേഴ്സും ആണ് പ്രൈവറ്റ് മെമ്പേഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ശരിയാണോ അത്? അല്ല. കാര്യം എന്താ? ഇത് മിനിസ്റ്റർ ആണ്. ഒരു ഇപ്പൊ ബി ജെ പിക്ക് 300 സീറ്റ് കിട്ടി. ബി ജെ പിക്ക് 300 സീറ്റ് കിട്ടിയെങ്കിൽ 300 പേർക്ക് മിനിസ്റ്റർ ആവാൻ പറ്റുമോ? ഇല്ല. അതിനകത്തില് കുറച്ച് പേരെ മിനിസ്റ്റർ ആവത്തുള്ളൂ. ആ മിനിസ്റ്റർ ആവുന്ന ആളുകളല്ലാതെ എല്ലാ ആളും ഇൻക്ലൂഡിംഗ് ദ റൂളിംഗ് പാർട്ടി ഇപ്പൊ ഒരു 60 പേരായെന്ന് വിചാരിക്കാം. ബാക്കി എത്ര ഉണ്ട്? 240 പേരുണ്ട് റൂളിംഗ് പാർട്ടി തന്നെ. പിന്നെ 10-300 പേര് അല്ലാതെ എം പിമാരുണ്ട്. ഇവരെല്ലാരും എന്താ വിളിക്കുന്നത്? പ്രൈവറ്റ് മെമ്പേഴ്സ് എന്നാണ് വിളിക്കുന്നത് കേട്ടോ. അപ്പോൾ all these members are called as private members. A resolution passed by a private member is called as a private member resolution. A resolution passed by government or the PM plus council of ministers, they are called as the government resolution. A statutory resolution is a resolution which is moved either by a private member or a minister. So there are mainly 3 types of motion. Which are they? Private member resolution, private member resolution, government resolution, statutory resolution, and I hope you got the difference between all these 3. Okay. Again, a public bill and a private bill. What is a public bill? A bill which is introduced by the parliament. A bill is introduced by the private bill and the private bill and the what will be a private bill? What will be a private bill? So who was a private member? So a bill which is introduced in the house by a private member will be called as a private bill. A bill which is introduced as a public member. Who is a public member? Minister or the prime minister? Council of ministers or the prime minister? A bill which is introduced in the house by the prime minister or the council of ministers, it is called as a public bill. A bill which is introduced by the minister or a member other than a minister or the prime minister, it is called as private member bill. Basic understanding, basic difference. I think we're clear with the basic difference. And again, you have to say that a public bill, it is introduced by the government, so it will reflect the policies of the government. Okay. A private bill is introduced by a member other than the government, so it will reflect the policies of the opposition parties. മനസ്സിലാവുന്നില്ലേ? ഒരു പ്രൈവറ്റ് ബില്ല് ഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ആരാ? മിനിസ്റ്റർ അല്ലാത്ത ആളുകളാ, ഓപ്പോസിഷൻ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആളുകളാ. സോ ഒരു പ്രൈവറ്റ് ബില്ലാകുമ്പോൾ അത് അവരുടെ വ്യൂ പോയിന്റ് കാണിക്കുന്നത്, ഓപ്പോസിഷൻ പാർട്ടിയുടെ വ്യൂ പോയിന്റ് കാണിക്കുന്നത്. പബ്ലിക് ബില്ലാകുമ്പോൾ അത് ഗവൺമെന്റിന്റെ വ്യൂ പോയിന്റ് ആണ് കാണിക്കുന്നത്, ഗവൺമെന്റ് പോളിസിയാണ് കാണിക്കുന്നത്. സി ഇതിൽ ഏതായിരിക്കും കൂടുതൽ ചാൻസ് അപ്രൂവൽ ആവാൻ? എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ്? The government is having the support here, and the government will be it will be having the higher chance of getting passed in the parliament than the private bill. Okay, so a private bill has a lesser chance of getting approved in the parliament. Again, a public bill, if a public bill is rejected, what will happen? It is actually questioning the majority of the government. If government pass consider situation, every bill passed by the government is not getting passed in the Lok Sabha. What is the situation there? If every decisions I am taking is not accepted by you guys, what is the meaning of that? That is, I am not having enough support there. There is a government is not having enough support in the house. It is an implication. If a particular private bill is not passed by the parliament, it's an implication that the government is not having majority support in the parliament. Are you able to follow me? Okay. But with regarding the private bill, its rejection, its acceptance or its rejection, it does not matter with the government, because it is not introduced by the government. Whether it is passed, whether it is rejected, it does not affect the government in any manner, and it does not test the confidence of the government inside the house. Understood? Okay. Okay, again, you have to understand one thing. Before the introduction of a particular public bill or a government bill inside a house, it need to have an what? Notice of 7 days period. Before introducing that particular bill in the house, you need to give a 7 days notice if it is a private bill. If it's a public bill, what will happen? So sorry, if it's a public bill. If it's a private bill, what is the case? You need to get at least 30 days notice. Or you need to have at least 1 month notice. നിങ്ങൾ 1 month നോട്ടീസ് കൊടുത്തിട്ട് മാത്രമേ ഒരു പ്രൈവറ്റ് ബില്ല് കൊണ്ടുവരാൻ പറ്റൂ. ഒരു പ്രൈവറ്റ് മെമ്പറിന് ഒരു ബില്ല് കൊണ്ടുവരണമെങ്കിൽ 1 മാസം പ്രീവിയസ് നോട്ടീസ് കൊണ്ടുവരണം. ഗവൺമെന്റിന്റെ ബില്ലാണെങ്കിലോ അതിന് 7 days നോട്ടീസ് കൊടുക്കാം. Okay. Again, a government bill, the duty of the drafting of the bill, this bill is being prepared and the provisions of the bill is being drafted, and mainly it is done by the law ministry. It is concerned, it is നിയമങ്ങൾ ഒരു മിനിസ്റ്ററി ഉണ്ട്, law ministry ഉണ്ട്. അവരെ കൺസൾട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടാണ് the preparation of the bill is happening and the drafting of the bill is happening. But the duty of drafting or preparing by private member bill is the duty of that individual member. Drafting of the bill drafting of a public bill, it is the duty of whom? It is the duty of the law ministry. But the drafting of a bill of a private bill, drafting duty of a private bill is the duty of that individual member who is introducing it. ഇപ്പൊ ഞാനാണ് ഇതിൽ ഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതെങ്കിൽ പ്രൈവറ്റ് ബില്ലാണ്, അത് എന്റെ ഡ്യൂട്ടിയാണ് അത് ഡ്രാഫ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, മിനിസ്ട്രി അല്ല ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അതായത് പ്രൈവറ്റ് മെമ്പർ ഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ബില്ല അവർ തന്നെയാണ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്. പക്ഷെ ഒരു ഗവൺമെന്റ് ബില്ലാണെങ്കിലോ പബ്ലിക് ബില്ലാണെങ്കിലോ അത് ആ കൺസേൺഡ് മിനിസ്ട്രി ഹെൽപ്പ് ചെയ്യും. ലോ മിനിസ്ട്രിയുടെ ഒക്കെ ഹെൽപ്പ് കിട്ടും. Okay, that's the basic difference between a private bill and a public bill. We can move on. We can move on to other type of bill. There are many. I have already explained to you guys about this type of bill. Ordinary bill. Ordinary bill is any bill which does not concern any financial subjects. An ordinary bill is a bill which does not have any financial matters inside it. Okay, a money bill. A money bill mainly related to financial matters like taxation, public expenditure, etc. A financial bill, it is also similar to a money bill, but there are some differences inside it. The main difference of a finance bill from a money bill, you have to understand one thing is that a money bill have only financial matters inside it. Money bill only have financial matters inside it. A finance bill both financial matters and other things inside it. That is purposes of general legislations. മോക്ക് മനസ്സിലായോ? അതായത് മണി ബില്ല് ഫിനാൻഷ്യൽ മാറ്റേഴ്സ് മാത്രമേ കാണത്തുള്ളൂ. ഒരു ഓർഡിനറി ബില്ല് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ അതിനകത്ത് ഫിനാൻസ് മാറ്റേഴ്സ് കാണും. സോറി, ഒരു ഫിനാൻഷ്യൽ ബിൽസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അതിൽ ഫിനാൻസ് മാറ്റേഴ്സും കാണും, അതിനകത്ത് മറ്റ് മാറ്റേഴ്സും കാണും. അതായിരിക്കും മെയിൻ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഡിഫറൻസ് കേട്ടോ. അഗെയിൻ സംതിങ് ഓൺ കോൺസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻ അമെൻഡ്മെന്റ് ബിൽ. Constitution Amendment Bill. What's the meaning of Constitution Amendment Bill? Amendment provisions of the Constitution. Amendment provisions of the Constitution. That is a particular bill which is introduced for amending the Constitution. That is called as a Constitution Amendment Bill. Okay, so we can move on. Okay, for a ordinary bill, you need to understand, you need to focus here. From here on, you have to focus very clearly. You need to pick every word that is coming from my mouth. Okay? An ordinary bill, it can be introduced in the house, either by a member, a private member, or a minister. It can be introduced either by a private member or by a minister. Okay? That is the first thing you have to focus. That is, it can be introduced by either a private member or a minister. Okay, a bill, ordinary bill, after being passed in the first house, after it is being introduced in Lok Sabha, bill is introduced in the Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha will discuss the particular portions of the bill. The Lok Sabha will vote for the bill. Okay. After voting, after it is passed by the Lok Sabha, what will happen? It will be sent to the next house, Rajya Sabha. When a bill is in the, it can happen in the reverse order also. For example, an ordinary bill can be introduced in Rajya Sabha also. Remember this very important thing that an ordinary bill can be introduced in both houses of the parliament. It can be introduced by minister as well as a prime member, and also it can be introduced in both the houses of the parliament. An ordinary bill can be introduced in Rajya Sabha also. An ordinary bill can be introduced in Lok Sabha also. Anywhere it can be introduced, and it does not need the prior permission of the president to be introduced. Okay, and again you have to remember that bill in the second house, whether it is Rajya Sabha in the Lok Sabha, after it is passed by the first house, when it is in the second house has many options with it. What are its options? It can pass the bill as sent by the first house. First house എങ്ങനെ വിട്ടു അതേപോലെ തന്നെ പാസ്സാക്കാം. Pass the bill with certain amendments. The second house can give some amendments, some changes, and it can return it to the first house for reconsideration. The second house can propose some amendments and return it to the first house for what? Reconsideration. Or the second house can reject the bill altogether. It can reject it. I am not going to pass it. It can reject it. And second house can also do what? Keep the bill pending, not taking any action. And it is saying that I am not going to take any action. But you have to remember that the maximum period for a second house to keep the bill pending and not taking any action is 6 months. That is, the second house has to make any decision within 6 months. If it has not taken any decision before the 6 months, what will happen? Very good. I have already told you that joint sitting. If the bill has been rejected by the second house, what will happen? There also we have deadlock and we have joint sitting. Now you understood. Okay. So we can move on. I hope you are clear with the idea. Okay. After the second bill in the second house, what is the next stage? You need to get the assent of the president. We have already discussed the matters concerning assent of the president. President can give assent. President may not give the assent. President may withhold the assent. President may send the bill for reconsideration. President has many options when the bill is received. I have already discussed you about those portions. So we can move on to the next type of bill, money bill. Okay, what is a money bill? You need to have a clear idea about what is a money bill, and you need to have an idea which article mentions a portion about money bill. Article 110 of the Constitution. Article 110 of the Constitution says about money bill. So first of all, before going into the details of a money bill, you need to have an idea what defines a money bill. Under Article 110 of the Constitution, the Constitution gives some matters which, when these matters comes inside a bill, and that bill can be called as a money bill. അതായത് ആർട്ടിക്കിൾ 110 പറയുന്നത് എത്രയേ ഉള്ളൂ, ഈ താഴെ പറയുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങൾ ആണെങ്കിൽ അതെന്താവും, ഒരു മണി ബില്ലാവും. സോ വാട്ട് ആർ ദി മാറ്റേഴ്സ്? എ ടാക്സ്, ഒരു ടാക്സ് ഇമ്പോസ് ചെയ്യുന്നു, എ ടാക്സ് വിച്ച് ക്യാൻ ബി അബോളിഷ്ഡ്, or tax, a particular bill which is introduced for the reduction of a tax, it can be called as a money bill. For regular borrowing of the money, a bill which is concerning the borrowing of money by the government of India, it can be called as a money bill. A bill which is concerned with taking money from consolidated fund of India, or depositing inside the contingency fund of India, or depositing inside public accounts of India. That is a particular bill which is concerned with money matters with respect to consolidated fund of India, or contingency fund of India, or public accounts of India. It can also be called as money bill. Okay. So these things will be called as a money. So what you understand by this? Mainly all these things are financial matters. A particular bill which is only concerned with any of these things. For example, tax abolition. For example, money is being borrowed by the government of India. Or else what? Payment or withdrawal from the Constitutional Fund of India. All these things can be called as what? Money bill. Okay. Okay. Again, Constitution also says that don't get confused. Constitution is saying that don't get confused. If a particular fine is imposed or penalty is imposed, if in a bill, if there is particular provision where there is some fine being involved, I will give you an example. For example, Motor Vehicle Act. Motor Vehicle Act. Inside the Motor Vehicle Act, we have provisions for fines. You know, what are the fines will be imposed? Maybe strict fines. Maybe the act will say that the fines need to be very strict. Maybe 2,000 rupees for any penalty, particular penalty. And can you call this bill as a money bill? Since it has some fine inside it. For the fine penalty money bill. Money bill. Okay. So Constitution is saying that don't get confused. A particular bill, if it is introduced for some fine or introduced for some penalties, it cannot be called as a money bill. Money bill is only those bills which are concerned in Article 110. I have already explained you the provisions which are in the Article 110. I hope you remember that. Okay. Okay, again, any fees for licenses, any fees for services demanded or paid, these things cannot also be included inside a money bill. Then any tax, any imposition of a tax, remission of a tax, all this or regulation of any tax done by a local body. Local body. For example, a tax which is being introduced in the panchayat. A particular tax being regulated by the municipality, Trivandrum Corporation. These things cannot be included inside a money bill. So, a money bill is not concerned with all these matters. Don't get confused. If UPSC is asking you a question that a money bill is a bill which is dealing with imposition of fines and penalties, what will you do? You will cut out that statement. Fines and penalties are not included inside a money bill. Rather, it is mainly dealt with the expenditure from Constitutional Fund of India, expenditure from Contingency Fund of India, and the regulation in tax by the central or the state authorities, not the local authorities. Are you able to understand? Okay. Okay, differences between ordinary bill and money bill. You have to listen to me very carefully because this is going to be very important. Okay, first major difference is that ordinary bill, it can be introduced only in, ordinary bill can introduce in either house of the parliament. It can be introduced in Rajya Sabha or in Lok Sabha. A money bill can only be introduced in Lok Sabha only. Money bill can be introduced in Lok Sabha only. And also a money bill can be introduced only by, very good. A money bill can only be introduced by minister. That is, a private member cannot introduce money bill. Only a public member or a minister can introduce money bill. Because it is concerned with the expenditure of the government of India. What does a private member have to do with the expenditure of government of India? Money is taken out by the ministry only. A private member cannot take out the money. Only the ruling government can take out the money. Only the ruling government can regulate the tax. Only the ruling government can abolish the tax. Only the ruling government can impose new tax. So a money bill will only be introduced inside a, money bill will only be introduced by a bill. Clear with the idea? Okay. Again, a money bill before it is getting introduced in any house of the parliament, or a money bill which is before getting introduced in the Lok Sabha, it needs to get the prior recommendation of the President of India prior recommendation. Money bill, ordinary bill. Okay. Again, you need to have a clear idea that Rajya Sabha has very, very limited powers in the case of in a money bill. Rajya Sabha cannot reject a money bill. Rajya Sabha can keep the money bill pending only for 14 days. Before it either it has to pass it or it has to send back with some amendments. And I'm telling you that Lok Sabha has passed the money bill and it is sending to Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha has one option is Rajya Sabha can pass it. Okay, if it is passing it, okay, it is very good. It will be passed by both the houses. Okay, and will get the present assent and will become an act. That's another option. What is it? Keep the bill pending for 14 days. 14 days. After that period, what will happen? The bill will become an act. Normally, whether it is passed or not passed, it is passed as regarding a money bill. അതായത് രാജ്യസഭ പാസ്സാക്കിയോ ഇല്ലെന്നുള്ളതൊന്നും അവിടെ പ്രശ്നമല്ല. 14 ദിവസം കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ മണി ബിൽ എന്താവും? പാസ്സായെന്ന് പ്രഖ്യാപിക്കും. രാജ്യസഭയ്ക്ക് പവർ ഇല്ല. One thing Rajya Sabha can do, Rajya Sabha can propose some amendments to the money bill. So after proposing this amendment, Rajya Sabha can send it back to the Lok Sabha. But there is one thing here that it is not obligatory for the Lok Sabha to consider it. Lok Sabha ki വേണമെങ്കിൽ അത് consider ചെയ്താൽ മതി. Lok Sabha ki വേണമെങ്കിൽ reject ചെയ്യാം. For an ordinary bill, if such a situation come, what is the next procedure? For Lok Sabha reject ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ, Rajya Sabha propose ചെയ്ത amendment Lok Sabha reject ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ, ഒരു ordinary bill ആയിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ എന്തായിരുന്നേ? Joint sitting. There was a provision for joint sitting, but for a money bill there is no joint sitting. For you to understand, for a money bill there is no provision of joint sitting. There is no provision for joint sitting, and also the parliament, the Lok Sabha need not necessarily accept the amendments proposed by the Rajya Sabha. മനസ്സിലാവുന്നുണ്ടോ? രാജ്യസഭയ്ക്ക് amendments propose ചെയ്യാം, പക്ഷെ അത് ലോക്സഭ അക്സെപ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യണമെന്ന് ഒരു നിർബന്ധവുമില്ല. ലോക്സഭയ്ക്ക് വേണേൽ അത് അമെന്റ്മെന്റ്സ് റിജക്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ട് വീണ്ടും അത് പാസ്സാക്കാൻ വിടാം. ഒരു നിർബന്ധവുമില്ല. രാജ്യസഭയ്ക്ക് മാക്സിമം എന്ത് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും? 14 ദിവസത്തേക്ക് ബില്ല് പെൻഡിങ് ആക്കി വെക്കാൻ പറ്റും. അണ്ടർസ്റ്റുഡ്? ഓക്കെ. ജോയിന്റ് സിറ്റിംഗ് ഇല്ല, അതൊക്കെയാണ് Parliament or Lok Sabha. The Lok Sabha is not passing a money bill. What does it show? It shows that the government does not have enough support there. That money bill is very important bill. After important bill, government defeated ആവുകയാണെങ്കിൽ government എന്ത് ചെയ്യും? പൈസ എടുക്കാൻ പറ്റത്തില്ല. ഗവൺമെന്റ് എക്സ്പെൻഡിച്ചർ നടക്കത്തില്ല. അങ്ങനെ എക്സ്പെൻഡിച്ചർ നടത്താൻ പറ്റാത്ത ഗവൺമെന്റ് നിൽക്കുമെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നുണ്ടോ? ഗവൺമെന്റ് എന്ത് ചെയ്യും? താഴെ വീഴും. ഒരു മണി ബില്ല് പാസ്സാക്കിയില്ലെങ്കിൽ it will amount to the defeat of the government. Okay. Again, you have to make one thing clear that a bill which is passed by the Lok Sabha, it goes to Rajya Sabha, it is going to the present assent. ഒരു ഓർഡിനറി ബിൽ ആയിരുന്നപ്പോൾ എന്തൊക്കെയാണ് പ്രസന്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നത്? പറഞ്ഞേ. What was the case? What all things can the president do if it was an ordinary bill? Withhold, give assent, return ചെയ്യാം. Okay. When it comes to a money bill, I have already told you that a money bill is being introduced with the prior recommendation of the president. Before it is introduced in any house, it will get the prior recommendation of the president. Okay. And again, such a bill getting the prior recommendation of the president, after it is passed by the Lok Sabha, after it is passed by the Rajya Sabha, it goes to the president assent. In case of a money bill, president can either reject it. President reject ചെയ്യാം, can reject the bill, can approve it, but he cannot send it back for reconsideration. he cannot send the bill back for reconsideration. Why? Because it is introduced with his prior permission. He may reject it, he may give approval for it, but he cannot send it for reconsideration of the house. Understood? But normally a money will be given assent by the president, because in the first place it is introduced by the prior permission of the president. So president logically അങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യാറില്ല. ആദ്യം തന്നെ പ്രസിഡന്റിന്റെ പ്രസിഡന്റ് ആദ്യം തന്നെ പറയാറുണ്ട്, 2 ദിവസം പാസ്സായി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ പ്രസിഡന്റ് നോർമലി എന്ത് ചെയ്യും, മണി ബില്ലിന് അസന്റ് കൊടുക്കും. അങ്ങനെയാണ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. പക്ഷേ ഒരു കാര്യം എന്തായാലും ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല, പ്രസിഡന്റ് തിരിച്ചയക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല, റീകൺസിഡറേഷന് വേണ്ടി തിരിച്ചയക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല. ഓക്കെ, ഓക്കെ, നമുക്ക് ഒരു ടോപ്പിക് കൂടെ ഉള്ളൂ, വേണ്ട നമുക്ക് ക്ലാസ് വൈൻഡപ്പ് ചെയ്യാം. Okay, there are, I have already told you about the finance bill, money bill. Okay, while telling us the introductory part, I told you that a finance bill and money bill is different in according to difference on them. Oh, very good. That's the primary difference between a money bill and a finance bill. And finance bill is actually 2 types: finance bill 1, finance bill 2. You just not have to go into much deeper side. You just have to focus the major differences between finance bill 1, finance bill 2, and the money bill. How they are different. Just listen to me. Which article deals with money bill? Article 110. Which article deals with finance bill 1? Article 117(1). Finance bill 2, article 117(3). Okay, primary difference. Finance bill 1 is 117(1), suppose 1. Finance bill 2 is article 117, suppose 3. Again, it deals only with the portions of article 110. That is, it deals only with the portions of money matters. It's money bill. While a finance bill 1, it may have some provisions in the article 110, but also there are some other provisions. Also, general legislation will also be there. Example, ആധാർ ബില്ല്, ഈ ഒരു പ്രശ്നം ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞുതരാം, അഡീഷണൽ ഇൻഫർമേഷൻ ആണ്. നമ്മള് ഈ ചില ബില്ലുകൾ ഈ മണി ബില്ലാണോ ഇല്ലയോ എന്ന് തീരുമാനിക്കുന്ന ആരാ? ഒരു ബില്ല് മണി ബില്ലാണോ ഇല്ലയോ എന്ന് തീരുമാനിക്കുന്ന ആരാ? പറഞ്ഞുണ്ട്, സ്പീക്കർ. സ്പീക്കർ ഓഫ് ദി ലോക്സഭയാണ് ഫൈനൽ ഡിസിഷൻ അതോറിറ്റി, ഒരു ബില്ല് മണി ബില്ലാണോ ഇല്ലയോ. അപ്പൊ എന്താ സംഭവിക്കുന്നത് പറഞ്ഞാല്, ഒരു ബില്ല് മണി ബില്ലാണെങ്കിൽ അവിടെ ഗുണം ആർക്ക് ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ? ഗവൺമെന്റിനാണ്. എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ്? രാജ്യസഭയെ ബൈപ്പാസ് ചെയ്തതാണ്. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ മനസ്സിലാവുന്നുണ്ടോ? രാജ്യസഭ ബൈപ്പാസ് ചെയ്ത് അയക്കാം. അപ്പൊ ഒരു ട്രെൻഡാണ് ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത്. ബില്ലുകൾ മണി ബില്ലായിട്ട് അങ്ങ് പ്രഖ്യാപിക്കും സ്പീക്കർ റൂളിംഗ് പാർട്ടിക്കാരനോ. മനസ്സിലായോ? ബില്ല് മണി ബില്ലായിട്ട് അങ്ങ് പറയും. അങ്ങനെ ആകുമ്പോൾ എന്ത് സംഭവിക്കും? രാജ്യസഭയിൽ ഒരു ശരിക്കും നടന്നൊരു കേസുണ്ട്, ആധാർ ബില്ല്. ആധാർ ബില്ല് മണി ബില്ല് ആവേണ്ട ഒരു കാര്യമല്ല, പക്ഷെ സ്പീക്കർ എന്ത് ചെയ്തു? മണി ബില്ലായിട്ട് പ്രഖ്യാപിച്ചു. അങ്ങനെ ആധാർ ആക്ട് പാസ്സാക്കുന്നത് മണി ബില്ലായിട്ടാണ്. ആധാറിനകത്ത് 110 കാര്യങ്ങൾ മാത്രമല്ല, അതിനകത്ത് ജനറൽ രജിസ്ട്രേഷൻ പ്രൊവിഷൻസ് ഉണ്ട്. അത് ആക്ട് ഒരു ഫിനാൻസ് ബിൽ 110 അണ്ടർ വരേണ്ട കാര്യമാണ്. ബട്ട് ഇറ്റ് വാസ് പാസ്ഡ് ആസ് എ മണി ബിൽ. അങ്ങനെ പാസ്സാക്കിയപ്പോൾ ഗവൺമെന്റ് എന്ത് ചെയ്തു? നൈസായിട്ട് രാജ്യസഭനെ എന്ത് ചെയ്തു? ബൈപ്പാസ് ചെയ്തു. പക്ഷെ എന്ത് പ്രശ്നം ഉണ്ടായെന്ന് അറിയാമോ? കേസ് പോയി കോടതിയിൽ. ഇത് മണി ബിൽ അല്ല, ഇത് ആക്ച്വലി സ്പീക്കറുടെ ഡിസിഷൻ തെറ്റാണെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ആധാറിന്റെ കോടതി കേസ് പോയി. നിങ്ങൾ ഓർമ്മയില്ല കേസൊക്കെ കോടതി നടക്കുന്നൊക്കെ പത്രത്തിലൊക്കെ എപ്പോഴും വരുമായിരുന്നു. അപ്പം ഇങ്ങനെ ബൈപ്പാസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു ട്രെൻഡാണ്. മണി ബില്ല്, ഓർഡിനറി ബിൽസ് ഒക്കെ മണി ബില്ലായിട്ട് പാസ് ആക്കും in order to bypass the രാജ്യസഭ. So in a finance bill there is only finance bill 1 deals with article 110 plus matters of general legislation. When you come to finance bill 2, it deals with the portions in all expenditure from consolidated fund of India, but these are not in article 110. Again, I will say once more, any expenditure from consolidated fund of India which are not mentioned in the article 110. These portions are dealt with finance bill. അതായത് കൺസോളിഡേറ്റഡ് ഫണ്ട് ഓഫ് ഇന്ത്യ എക്സ്പെൻഡിച്ചർ ആണ്. പക്ഷേ ഇതിൽ ഒരു കാര്യവും ആർട്ടിക്കിൾ 110 പറയുന്നില്ല. അതായത് ഒരു മണി ബില്ലിന്റെ കീഴിൽ വരുന്ന ഒരു കാര്യമേ അല്ല. പക്ഷേ കൺസോളിഡേറ്റഡ് ഫണ്ട് ഓഫ് ഇന്ത്യ എന്നുള്ള എക്സ്പെൻഡിച്ചർ റിലേറ്റഡ് ആണ്. ഇങ്ങനെയാണെങ്കിൽ അതെന്താവും? ഫിനാൻസ് ബിൽ 2 ആയി മാറും. ഓക്കെ, ഫിനാൻസ് ബിൽ 2. ഇനി കുറച്ച് ഡിഫറൻസ് ഉണ്ട്. Certificate of speaker, it is needed for what? Money bill. Not to decide a bill or whether a bill is money bill or not. It needs the certification of the speaker. Finance bill 1 and 2, no certificate of speaker is needed. Okay. And a finance bill 1 and a money bill can only be introduced in Lok Sabha. A finance bill 2 can be introduced in any house. Prior permission of the president is required for a money bill and a finance bill 1. For a finance bill 2, no prior permission of the president is required. Okay. When this bill goes to Rajya Sabha cannot amend or reject it. But finance bill 1 can be amended or rejected. 1 and 2. So, in case of finance bill 1 and 2, both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha has similar powers. പറയുന്നുണ്ട്. അതായത് ഇത്ര ഓർത്താൽ മതി. ഒരു മണി ബില്ല് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ ബില്ലാണെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ ഇങ്ങനെ നമ്മൾ മുമ്പേ പഠിച്ചോളൂ എടുക്കുള്ളൂ. ബാക്കി ഏത് കാറ്റഗറി ഓഫ് ബില്ലാണെങ്കിലും ഞാൻ ഈ പറയുന്ന പോലെ തന്നെ പഠിച്ചാൽ മതി. ഓണറി ബില്ലാണെങ്കിൽ ഒരു വ്യത്യാസവും ഇല്ല. എന്റെ നോട്ട്സ് എടുക്കുക, അതേപടി പഠിക്കുക. നിങ്ങൾ പിന്നെ ചിന്തിച്ചിട്ട് ഇതിനകത്ത് വണ്ടം വരുന്നുണ്ട്. അതുകൊണ്ട് അതങ്ങനെ അങ്ങനൊന്നും ചെയ്യണ്ട. ജസ്റ്റ് ഇതുപോലെ ഫോളോ ചെയ്യാം. These are procedures of the parliament. Okay. Even though matters in 110 are coming inside this finance bill 1, it can be amended or rejected by the Rajya Sabha. Similarly, finance bill 2 also, it can be amended or rejected by the Rajya Sabha. Okay. Person power. I told you that a money bill, in case of money bill, person cannot send it back to for the reconsideration of the house. But a finance bill 1 or 2, person can send it back for the reconsideration. Okay. And a joint sitting is not there for money bill, but for a finance bill 1 and finance bill 2, there is joint sitting. Understood? Clear? ഇതാണ് ഡിഫറൻസ്. ഫിനാൻസ് ബിൽ 1, ഫിനാൻസ് ബിൽ 2, മണി ബില്ല്. ഇതാണ് ഡിഫറൻസ്. ഇതൊക്കെയാണ്. ഇത്ര ഓർക്കുക. ഞാൻ ഒരു ബില്ലോട് ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് അവസാനിപ്പിക്കാം. നോട്ടില്ല, ഞാൻ പറയാം. ഇത് കോൺസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻ അമെൻഡ്മെന്റ് ബില്ലാണ്. Constitutional Amendment Bill. Okay. Remember that for a Constitutional Amendment Bill, both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha has equal powers. It is not like the money bill. It has to be passed by both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha by a special majority. For an ordinary bill, simple majority is required. For a constitutional amendment bill, you need to have a special majority, and you need to get the permission of, or the bill has to be passed by both the houses of the parliament. Both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha has to pass the bill. Understood? Okay. And again, here one important thing you have to notice that President must have to give assent. According to 24th Constitutional Amendment Act, ഈ ഒരു കോൺസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻ അമെൻഡ്മെന്റ് ബില്ല് 2 ഹൗസും പാസ്സാക്കി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ പ്രസിഡന്റ് അസന്റ് കൊടുത്തിരിക്കണം. പ്രസിഡന്റ് ഒരു ഓപ്ഷനും ഇല്ലാതെ തിരിച്ചയക്കാൻ പോലും പറ്റത്തില്ല. ഒന്നും ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല. പ്രസിഡന്റ് മസ്റ്റ് ഹാവ് ടു ഗീവ് ദി അസന്റ്. And again, you have to remember one thing, that a constitutional amendment bill has to be passed by both the houses separately. Again, I am saying that a constitutional amendment bill, in order to become an act, must be passed by both the houses separately. What do you mean by that? ആർക്കെങ്കിലും പറയാം? പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ക്ലാസ് ഞാൻ നിർത്തും. അതിന്റെ പേര് അതെല്ലാം എനിക്ക് കണ്ടിന്യൂ ഇവിടെ ഇരുത്ത് 1.5 വയസ്സ് ഞാൻ സെപ്പറേറ്റ് എന്നുള്ള വാക്ക് ഉപയോഗിക്കാൻ കാരണം why might I use the word separately? തന്നെ 1.5 വരെ എടുപ്പിക്കും. ശ്രദ്ധിക്കുക, ഇവിടെ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കുന്നില്ലായിരുന്നു. എവിടെയായിരുന്നു? കണ്ടിരിക്കുമായിരുന്നു. ക്ലാസ് പഠിക്കുമ്പോൾ ക്ലാസ് ശ്രദ്ധിക്കണം കേട്ടോ. മനസ്സിലാകുന്നില്ലെങ്കിൽ അങ്ങനെ പറഞ്ഞാൽ നിങ്ങൾ പറഞ്ഞു. I am saying that both the houses of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha has to pass the bill separately. That is, you need to have to pass it separately. For example, a constitution, if an ordinary bill, consider the case of an ordinary bill. A bill is passed by the Lok Sabha, a bill is passed by the Rajya Sabha, but Rajya Sabha has some amendments, it will return to Lok Sabha, and they will have a deadlock. If they have a deadlock, what will happen? There will be a joint sitting. But for a constitutional amendment bill, even if they have a deadlock, there is no joint sitting. They don't have a joint sitting. They need to pass it again separately. അവർ ഒറ്റയ്ക്ക് പാസ്സാക്കണം. അത് ഒരുമിച്ചിരുന്ന് ജോയിന്റ് സിറ്റിംഗ് ഇരുന്നിട്ട് പാസ്സാക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല. ഡെഡ് ലോക്ക് വന്നെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാലും വീണ്ടും ആദ്യമേ തുടങ്ങണം. അല്ല കോൺസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻ അമെൻഡ്മെന്റ് ബില്ലല്ലാതാവും, ആക്ട് അല്ലാതാവും. മനസ്സിലാകുന്നുണ്ടോ? That is the main idea, because I said why they have to pass it separately. Okay, they have to pass the bill separately. Okay. ഞാൻ നിങ്ങളുടെ ടൈപ്സ് ഓഫ് ഫണ്ടിന്റെ കാര്യം പറഞ്ഞായിരുന്നല്ലോ. നമുക്ക് ഈ പാർലമെന്റിനകത്ത് ഒരു ടോപ്പിക് കൂടെ ഉള്ളൂ. ഒന്ന് പാർലമെന്ററി പ്രിവിലേജസ് ഓഫ് ദി പാർലമെന്റ്. പിന്നെ നമുക്ക് ബഡ്ജറ്റ് എങ്ങനെയാണ് പാസ്സാക്കുന്നത് പഠിക്കുന്നത്. ബഡ്ജറ്റ് എങ്ങനെ പാസ്സാക്കുന്നു, ഹൗ ദി ബഡ്ജറ്റ് ഈസ് ബീങ് പാസ്ഡ്. ഓക്കെ, പിന്നെ ഒരു ടോപ്പിക് കൂടെ ഉള്ളൂ. എനിക്ക് പാർലമെന്റ് ഇതുവരെ പഠിപ്പിച്ച് ക്ലിയർ ആണല്ലോ. ഓക്കെ അല്ലേ? റിവൈസ് ചെയ്യണം, നന്നായിട്ട് റിവൈസ് ചെയ്യണം.